Hello and welcome to tonight's Get in Tune. I am Michael Gracia, and I have a really great guest tonight. I've been a fan of his work since I started following him on social media. He's a talented writer, illustrator, inker. You know, you name it, this guy does it. He is he's promoting a Kickstarter that he's part of, and the Kickstarter looks awesome. So without any further ado, let's bring on Enrique Lopez. Hello. How you
Hey, buddy.
doing?
How are you?
Doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. Trying to drop those, what do you call it, pandemic pounds, man. I just
Yeah.
got huge over this stuff.
You and me both, man.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem to come over here. We didn't get any of this stuff back,
yeah,
you know.
I wouldn't mind the weight up here again, you know?
Yeah, me too, man. It's like awesome. You know? Actually, I was trying to do a reverse, what was it called? What was that? Not the mohawk, but what was that was like the party in the back and the front is dull business.
Mullet? The reverse
mullet. Yeah, I had the reverse mullet. And I shaved all this and then left it in the back like this and long hair. It was like, actually, I have a picture of it. I gotta post it. It's really hysterical. Like all the hair back here, just nothing here. It's just fun. My wife said no. She said no. I said I got a new one. It's a new trend, but she's going, no, you're not doing it.
And Joe Ryan's already in the comments. I just want to say hi to Joe Ryan already in the comments. So he says 5 minutes late. No, you're not. Don't worry. We just started. And actually, Joe Ryan, you're part of the Kickstarter we're talking about today. I already saw on the when I looked at it. You're one of the contributing artists to it. So thank you for tuning in tonight. But thank you for always tuning in. I really appreciate it. So before we get started and really talking about this Kickstarter, it looks so much fun. I already know, I'm telling you this right now, I already know I'm donating. Hey, Christian, he's tuning in too. We got, he was a guest last week, had a lot of fun talking with him, good guy. This, I will say I'm donating. I know for a fact I'm donating. I looked at it. Everything looks so great on this book here. So you're gonna get a donation tonight after the show from me.
Appreciate it. I mean, I was like, I know we're going to talk about it, but it's one of those projects that I am so honored to have been part of it. It is one of those things that when I got into it, we'll go into how the process got for me to get in there. I never imagined what was coming down the pipeline until I saw it, because I already knew Joe was in there, and I already had known John Enninfield before, who was running the show, but I didn't realize everybody else who was coming in later. And I was thinking, well, I'm going to bring in all these guys with me to do this work and this work. We're going to look really good. And then I'm looking around like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm not the big guy here. There's a lot of good stuff here. So I was like really, really happy with it. So it was like a lot of.
I got to say this. After I looked at the Kickstarter, I was upset I wasn't part of it. You know, that's how good it is. It's a really great topic. First of all, it's a topic I love, but it's a really great topic, a great idea, and it's one of those things where I'm like, I didn't know this was going on. Why didn't I know? So
you know, that actually is one of the things I suffered about a year or so ago. I'm always finding out late. About, man, I would have done that. Oh, I would have done that. But now I found out a good way to get involved, and I'll give you those little tips later while we talk about stuff. But it's one of those things that it's always finding out after was a problem for me. But now that I'm in the beginning of them, it's like a lot of fun. So I'm now in the position to tell people, hey, this one's coming. You want to get in? You know, so a lot of more fun. Yeah.
That's awesome. So before we get into that, I always like to kind of find out a little bit about your cartoon history. Where did you, when did you get into comics? Who were some of your, influences? When did you start drawing?
Okay, I'll answer that question. But first, I want to address Christian's question here. Yeah. It's a children's book per se, but it's what you call like all ages. Okay, And trust me on that. I ran into the wall in a few of my stories, especially with language, that even I thought, well, that's not a big deal. And we modified it so that, yes, I had a friend of mine, Edgar Paston. He's the creator of Mary Caillou, and they just also went through Kickstarter and got those first issues done. He has a 5-year-old, and he asked me, which ones can I read of your stories? I said, well, you can read all 3, but I told him Takeout can get a little wild at the end. So he went with the other 2 stories, and the child absolutely loved the Jocko story of mine. And Socialis was too much of a topic for him, though it's really very clean and nothing going on. It's just a very powerful topic that in the way I presented it makes it look really innocent, but we're talking about some deep stuff there. And I'm very happy that people are starting to, who have read it, have really picked up on that. So, but overall, you'll find that I would say that my story Takeout pushes the envelope a little bit at the end. There's one more story that is a little interesting, but there is no gore, there's no blood, there's no nothing. Okay, it's just, you gotta understand, fairy tales they're not the little happy ending things we all know. Now, Disney, fairy tales were like, let's face it, Robin Hood and Little Red Riding Hood, which is a story that Joe was basing his off. He gets eaten, right? And I believe she gets eaten, and the hunter has to come in and cut her out of the wolf and stuff like that. I'm sorry, that's real rough stuff there. So there is the history of that. Hansel and Gretel as well. There's another version of this one in here, which is absolutely fantastic, done by 2 artists from Canada, which absolutely blows my mind. And so yes, it is a good story. So going back to the question, I was asked of influences and stuff. I began my first venturing into writing and a little bit of art, I would say as far back as 1st grade. Back in my public school in Ohio, North County Elementary School, they had this huge paper that they would give us to learn how to write, with little lines and stuff in there.
Yeah.
But on top, they had this space on it. In that way, I would draw stuff to like an illustration based on what I was talking about. Usually I was very highly influenced as a child of the various Hanna-Barbera, like Wacky Races was one of my favorite stuff. And a lot of, obviously, the Flintstones, but then a lot of my influences at a very young age was Speed Racer. And so all my buddies were like friends at school. We're all part of, we had these people, and always had one kid I really disliked. He would be the bad guy, Racer X, and stuff like that. So, and that was my little stories. And then I remember the teacher would always ask me to go up to the front of the room and read it to the kids. So very young age, I started doing that. And I kept writing and tried to get into I highly influenced by Isaac Asimov in science fiction, Ray Bradbury. And then when King came around, it just blew my mind as to like the different things you can do with the word, pretty similar to one other, like Edgar Allan Poe, just twisting the topic and making it just go that little bit closer to the edge without going over it. And I was enjoying all that influences at that time as a writer. And I tried to get into a lot of magazines as a writer, and it didn't work. So I said, okay, well, if that's not working, let me go now with the comic books. So I was one of my biggest influences was John Buscema and Ernie Colon from the early stuff, a lot of the easy horror stuff at the beginning. Also a lot of the Europeans, Milo, Carlos Guerra, all these other, because back where I was living in Puerto Rico, we had a really much easier access to European stuff. I had a lot of the original look of my books and comics were more towards the European, a lot of details, a lot of working with angles and stuff. And then when I got a little older, then I started exploring stuff like Bernie Wrightson, Jim Starlin, Mike Grell, especially his Warlord stories, which were highly influential on some of the stories I ended up writing, trying to get produced and created. But then I did a lot of stuff for college at high school. I was the newspaper. I had my own little script and a class paper. I wrote poetry, all that kind of stuff. I was also very similar, like poetry with like E.E. Cummings kind of stuff, not Robert Frost, very ambiguous, a lot of stuff, and moving things around the way I would put the stanzas and stuff like that, the verses. But then when I wanted to go to college, I told my parents I wanted to go into studying literature and artwork, and they said no. You're not doing that. We don't want you to go and have no money in your life. My parents were immigrants. They're from Cuba, and they knew how hard it is to get through life. And they said, "No, we want you to be better than us." That's fine. So basically, I went to the school in Loyola, which is in New Orleans, which is very liberal arts. So what I would do is I would take the business courses and throw in some liberal arts like stage crew, acting, script writing, video production, and so I actually minored in almost in art at the same time. But when I got out of there, I went to work in advertising, and there I began working in the art department and our accounts department and working on books. And so I actually started to draw and write comics, or at least proposals for Marvel in DC. Because at that time, back in the 80s, that was all they were, Marvel in DC. There was a little bit of first going on. Continuity was a little bit out there. Image was still, when I started, 10 years away from being considered. Dark Horse was purely black and white, only alien stuff. So it was not a lot to do. So I tried. I remember one of my art companions in advertising, we got together, he drew and I inked, and I wrote a crossover Batman versus it was Batman versus Punisher with the Kingpin and Two-Face as the villains. This was before Marvel and DC actually ended up doing that crossover. And we produced the first issue. We did a full thing to propose, and it went nowhere. I said, okay, fine, I felt that was like the biggest thing I could do, and then it didn't go. Then in about 92, just before the Image explosion, there was their very first convention in Puerto Rico. There was no comic book convention, nothing like that. The comic books, you would basically get them at the what do you call it, pharmacy or something like that, little thrift shops and things. There was one comic book store, only one, and she wanted to bring in a convention, so she asked me to be there. And then I was the only artist next to two other guys they brought in from the U.S. who were up and coming. Nobody knew who they really were, but they're all very, very famous now. And Dave Sims and Jeff Smith from Bone. This is just when they were like, Dave was actually well known because he already had gotten a bunch of books out there already.
Yeah.
But Bone was just starting. Bone was just like right off the bat. So it was like, and I still have a sketch that he gave me, and I gave him a sketch, and to Jeff Smith. And actually, he gave a shout out to the Not So Fair Tales. When I approached him, and said, remember this stuff? Oh yeah, let's do that. So I appreciated that a lot. And he's still going on now, crazy stuff. So. But anyway, after that, I did that one more presentation to Dark Horse in '94. I presented them with my concept for sci-fi stories, and I went in there with over 100 issues planned out. Not all written, but I mean, I had written the first year of the book, already knew where the animals were to be, how many splitting off, we're going to have miniseries and stuff, because they were talking about expanding into their own comic book universe. And I thought, I'll present this. And I presented it to Mike Richardson and all these people in New York, and it went nowhere. And they're like, yeah, but it's not what we're looking for to do. And I still got the presentation. I have it back there. I still have it there. As like a reminder. Yeah, that didn't work. But so I said, that's it. I'm hanging it up. I'm not going to keep banging my head against this. This is not going to happen now. So I went into advertising and worked there for years, and I did my own stuff. And it wasn't until we moved to New York that my daughter started. She was always into cosplaying and sewing, so she went to move to learn how to sew really, really well. And then so she started doing a lot more cosplay. But to do cosplay, she would start sketching. And by doing the sketching, she actually started to enjoy the sketching more. And then she wanted to actually say, Dad, didn't you used to do this? Like, yeah, I used to do that. So she wanted to know more about it. So I said, well, look, let's go to a convention. Let me take you to a few conventions so you can see how the world works. And that's what I bumped into Billy Tucci, Mark McKenna, and they were like, why aren't you here? And I'm like, because, dude, I'm not good anymore. I haven't done this stuff in so many years, and they're like, you should just get a table to help with it, don't worry about it. And Mark was the first one. Mark came to me a week later and said, look, I'm going to be a guest at a library show. I know it's not glamorous, but it would be a great place for you to go there. And so I had done already a few inkings over some pieces by Paul Abrams, who used to do the Savage Soul of Conan. And he had given me some pieces to work on, and I did them. I did a little few prints, and we did that show. And we sold maybe 20 or 30 bucks, something like that, but it was a start. And so now she's already there, and she's part of of the anthology. It's on the Kickstarter now, and she's going to the FIT, and then my career is taking off again. And like I'm started doing the old shows. I did in 2019 36 or 37 shows, and then obviously last year only one. But it's all come around to this point, and I'm seeing that probably if the nerds of the route is probably Sebastian, but he's saying here the best con neighbor I have ever had. Sure,
which I got to be a little insulted at because I've shared. What are
you looking for, bro? No, actually, I remember when I met Sebastian for the first time when we did the first time we met was at East Coast Comic Con, and that year, the 2019, when I was doing those 30 something, and yeah, he was the corner, and I was then next to me, and I was next to him, and I had RC Young next to me. And I loved it because we're that path that we're right in the point that you're middle of the show, but we were corners. So people were walking down from seeing George Perez and everybody from the Infinity Gauntlet. They had to come by us. So I'm like, hey, stop here. So I had a really good show. And I told him last year when we were I want the same spot.
I actually just met RC Young this weekend for the first time. Picked up one of her books.
She's great. Did you pick up the mermaid one?
No, I picked up. Do I have it here? Hold on, let me see. I'm going to try to get her on the show. I was really into what she was doing there.
She's great.
Witchman. I picked up the first issue. Yeah. Hey, Mike.
Yeah. So, she's great. I mean, she's one. She was supposed to be doing the show with me this week. This week, the Garden State, but she was telling me that the dates got crossed off for her, so she can't do it this week. Which is sad because we always have a good time when we hang around. We've done a few shows already together. And it's one of those things that I remember that show in East Coast was rough on her because she was just concentrating on her writing stuff, but now she's gone back to the illustration part, which actually has helped her do a lot better now. So I'm really happy for her. She's great.
Yeah, her concept of the book I picked up, she had a complete what was it, 4 or 5 issue storyline, whatever, $50 hardcover. Really, I wanted to pick it up, but I didn't have enough money, so I just picked up the first issue.
Yep.
And I like the concept. It's like superheroes in medieval time, So I'm looking forward to maybe reading this tonight or at least this weekend. Hold on, we got a question from Christian here.
Christian's really coming at me. Sorry, man.
Let's see. Yeah, and we're going to get to his question he asked earlier when we get to talking about the thing because that was one of my questions.
Yeah, I'll address that one.
Yeah.
This one I was looking. What would you need to do? Okay. All right. That is. You know what? That is a question my wife has pondered on me. Has thrown it at me. I've even pondered it to a degree. Now, I did 36 shows in 2019. Most of them next to Keith Williams. We were practically, and it's funny, and this I'm going to digress a little second because what I would do is that I would see the shows he's doing, and go like, wait, I don't know that show. Which is that show? And I start checking on it, and then I will call him, hey, You got space? Yeah. So I'll end up at the same show. I didn't know, but he was doing the same thing. And he was like, on the other way, he's like, what's Enrique doing? Wait, what is that show? What is this one? What is that? So that's why we ended up going almost to every single show. Now he's all grown up and he's doing his own stuff. You know, he's leaving me behind. You know, he's going off to different areas without me. So, but this weekend he's got no choice. He's next to me again. So going back to the question, why do we still need to? Now, the reason I did those 37 was real simple. Nobody knew me. And I needed to be seen. I needed to be people to understand and see who I was. Because one thing is to see me on Instagram, one thing to see me on Facebook. But you go like, who is that guy? Is that guy some big douchebag? Is he really cool? Is he interesting? What else does he do? Because there's only so much you can do. And the reality is, with all this algorithm and all this kind of crap, most people may not even see what I'm doing. They may follow me, but they don't see what's going on. So I wanted to be out there to meet new people, meet fans, see what other people are doing, and see what I can adapt and use to improve myself. The other reason I wanted to do is because I needed to meet others of the industry to get to know. Because if I wanted to eventually do my own books and stuff, and I did felt, well, my artwork's not great. I need to know artists who will want to work with me, and then these conventions work as a network to meet new people. So why would I need to do it now? Is more like I still want to meet the fans who now probably going to buy these books and say, "Oh, I bought this, you know, can you sign it now?" Or "Nice to meet you. I wanted to always know who you were, get to know." And now my idea is that maybe I'll be that one lucky guy again that somebody from Marvel and DC may just stumble or might trip over something I left in front of my table on purpose and go like, "Well, what is this?" You're like, "Oh, I do this. Oh, we could use you on Batman." "Oh, really?" So I mean, that you got to work it every way. You know, some people, you understand. In my case, I still do a full-time job anyway. I do this also in part-time and trying to get to the full-time part. But the reality is that for others artists, this is their only income. This is all they're doing. So to go to conventions is the only way they can get those commissions to be done, to get asked to do commissions, to get other jobs, other opportunities. So the cons are always going to be there for the really lifers who are doing this. And as well as like just to meeting people and going out there. So a lot of fun. I do miss interacting with other artists, you know. That's partly why my show Inky with Kiki was kind of created, is a conversation that you have with a person you're usually next door to in a show. When I'm usually meeting somebody, I say, "What you doing? How you doing?" and stuff like that. And let me do something of yours, let me do something of mine. That's usually what I would do on this show. So my Inky show online is that. So it says here now, do we have to wear masks? So how seen are you? Well, let's face it, I haven't done any shows. I only did one. That's true. I mean, I only did one at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. The Garden State winter one, and it went well for me. I mean, it went well. I was wearing my mask all the time and stuff like that. And the people came in and did the same thing. I mean, it's just you can look at it either way. You can look at it as a real negative stuff, all the negative stuff of it, because there is a problem of lugging things around and getting to the show, setting up. That's why I kind of no longer want to do one days, because just do all this work for just one day, it's tedious, you know. It's really hard. It's getting, especially when I'm lugging around a lot of the stuff. Now, I would love to be a Larry Stroman. Now, Larry Stroman, all he does is basically he brings here his portfolio, he opens it up, throws some pages out, and sits down. That's it. And then at the end of the day, if anything's left, he puts it in the portfolio and leaves. He brings no books, no nothing. He brings his stuff to draw and paper, but he doesn't bring anything else. He's got nothing else. He's got no posters, no prints, no nothing. That's it. That's what I got to get to. I got to get to the point that all I got to do is just, there you go, like it, enjoy it. But that's it. But he's probably like the 1%. Maybe not even that 0.5% of the people can do that. Everybody else has to really bring it, you know. And sometimes you just got to bring a lot just to sell 2 or 3, and just to give people the options to go for that, you know. You never know what people are going to like. So conventions are always going to be there, because that's the best vehicle for us to meet each other and to meet fans and to get our stuff out there to be seen.
Oh, that makes sense. I like that. And also, I will say, even though you have to wear masks, your artwork is always seen. So even if they can't see half your face, they'll see the artwork.
Yeah,
you know?
and
that's
now the way things are going, we're probably going to. I don't think we're going to have masks on for this show. I don't know. Maybe we will. I don't know yet.
I don't know. I was at PowCon last weekend, and everyone was masked up.
You were still masked up?
So we were still masked up. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm hoping I can come to the show this at least for one day. Maybe on Sunday I'll go. All depends on scheduling for me. But and we'll talk about the con in a little bit. But let's talk a little bit about some of the project we're here to talk about is it's called Not So Fairy Tale.
Not so fairy tales, not fairy, not so fair.
Not so fair tale. Sorry.
Yeah, because there's a reason. We did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole idea. They're not always fair.
Yeah, and I will say one of the reasons I love the concept behind this is I'm a big fan of fairy tales, nursery rhymes, all those things. I've studied them in college, even in more in depth. I'll tell you a short story that I want to really get into this. I'll even share the Kickstarter on the screen. But when I was in college, I took a class with it was on children's book writing and illustration, and I still have the textbook on one of my shelves over there, and it was by a woman named Frida Gates. All right, and Frida was the head of I could never say it, the Society of Children's Book Authors and Illustrators at the time. And she literally wrote the textbook on this. And there was this really interesting chapter on fairy tales and making up stories and how they were never, the original stuff, like you said, was never Disneyfied. Disney made them happy endings to make them stuff. There was one I remember that always sticks out in my head, and I always kind of want to do something with it, where I believe it was in Massachusetts during the early days of settling here. There was a guy whose son was maybe 3-5 years old, something like that. At that age, he was still sucking his thumb. And so his dad created a story about a guy who comes around in the middle of the night with giant scissors and cuts the thumbs off of little kids still sucking their thumb. And there were wood prints made of it to put into the paper and things. And that story always stuck out to me, but it was always kind of how this tale, this legend came about. And that's on my other bookshelves back there, I got Grimm fairy tales, Hans Christian Andersen. I love reading all those type of things. So so seeing this is a great idea, and I love the idea when and unfortunately I can't show the video. I have some sound issues when I'm wearing my headset here. But and you'll have to remind me of the guy's name who put it together. He called it a fractured fairy tale, almost like, he said it's not the Jay Ward stuff, which I grew up loving, but it's a different take. So I'm going to share the Kickstarter right now, and maybe you could, while I'm sharing the screen, talk a bit about, give us the idea of really what the stories are, or what the book's about.
Okay, it's first of all, the creator of the project is John Endingfield II. All right, I met him through I'm going to show it here because I got to take advantage of this moment. When I did this one back ways, which was the Stupendous book.
Hold on. Put that back up. I couldn't see.
Okay. I did Stupendous first. I did a story in here, and then I did Horrendous. And then Horrendous is where I met John Endingfield there.
Okay.
And he approached me saying, look, I have this idea. I've been working on it for 2 years with Ryan Krabath. And we want to do these fairy tales, but not the way they used to be, maybe modern day take on them. And I'm like, okay. And he asked me, would you like to submit some ideas? I mean, I've read what you did on Horrendous. I think it was awesome. I think you would fill the bill perfectly. I said, okay, fine. So I sent in 4 stories, thinking, well, maybe one of them will go, and we're all good for it. But he goes well, I like all 4 of them, but I'm going to leave this one out. Let's take these 3. I'm like, really? That's okay. All right, so let's go with it. And so I joined basically 19 different teams involved here. Most of the stories are about 10 pages long, and they're totally everywhere off the map. You know, you're not. Some of them will be easily recognizable as to you can pick up what their bases were. Joe's is, like I said, Little Red Riding Hood. John Mahler, who did he did pencils with me on Jocko. That one is his story is Jack and Jill. Angela Otling's is the Frog Prince, but it's nowhere near that. Okay, here we actually can go through them. You got one that's based off Jack the Beanstalk. There's Angela's there, the Frog Prince. Where's Your Mask? It's absolutely fantastic. That is from Russell Nolte. He does all he also is hard to spell books. It's awesome. That one, the story of Dak and I can't read it because it's too small for me here.
Which one? The Dak and Kish?
Yeah, that's from the guys from Canada. That is a really absolutely stunning piece. That is absolutely beautiful piece. With Eyes So Large, that is I believe that is Chuck's, right? That's Chuck Pinot's. Yeah. That's Chuck.
Yeah.
And then he didn't write it because I think that's that's Leanne. Okay, then Friends and that one there, that next one, that's one of the stories that skirts that curve. It goes real close to the line. Real close. But it's nothing, it's really, it's still a lot of fun. But it is, like they said, it is a fractured tale. This is really that, you gotta look at it that way. These are, you can be read to kids, but they're also, interesting. That one is there. It's by that's Sonia. Yeah, Sonia. She's from Canada also, I think, if I'm not mistaken. There's Joe's.
Yep. Red. It's called Red Enter the Wolf.
That's my first one. See, that one is that one's called Jocko, Dying to Escape from Little Bonsru. That's my ode to 80s movies. And with that, I was lucky to get John Muller to do the pencils with me, and I did the inking, and then Sigmund Torre. You may recognize him from the miniseries of Raven from DC Comics. And Carlos Pascual did all the lettering for all my stories. He's done work for DC, Marvel, Aftershock. So it's really cool. That's Jeff Weaver's book. The Emperor's New Battle Mech is absolutely funny as heck. This one's the best for me. The dress is because that's my daughter. That's my daughter's. She drew, wrote, did everything there. She credited me as an editor, but I really only guide her through there. And 17 years old, and she's a pro already. So
I love her style.
No, it's great. She really, you can tell, no way similar to mine. Absolutely nothing there.
Yeah,
it's
completely
developed on her own. This one is by Andrew Russell. He's going to actually have another Kickstarter. He's going to actually have a project coming up, which I'm participating in. Here's my baby. This is Takeout. Now, Takeout, I could go a little more detail later. That's I did that. The first 7 pages are drawn by Matt Buttich. He did it all: pencils, colors, everything there. And then I did the last 3 pages, pencils, colors, and everything. And the lettering is also by Carlos Vangual in that one. What does it say? That a tale about seeking food in all the wrong places. Yeah, that's it. So, and this is which was this one? Pied. Yeah, that's also brilliant. Yeah, that's Jay Morris. He is absolutely fantastic illustrator. And then what we got here in For the Love of Salt. This is MJ. Melissa MJ Massey. She actually went through trouble. Her computer just crashed midway through the project, and she was wondering if she was going to finish it. But her coloring work is absolutely stunning in that. Then we got Jack and Jill by John Muller. Totally different style. You can, if you look at that one versus the style he used with me when we worked together, it's like totally separate. This is my other story. This is the Socialis Speculum. It's like looking at a modern problem through the eyes of another and of the past. And that one we can go into. That is a really hard project for me. That was one that took a long time to create, but I'm really proud of how it came out, and people seem to really like it. This next one for me is one of the highlights of this book. The
Labor of Love.
Oh, that piece looks like you're looking at a Studio Gilby movie. It is absolutely fantastic. The illustrator Cesar Gutierrez, I'm dying to work with him. because he is off the chain. He is off the chain. That is such an absolutely beautiful piece. That alone,
I do wish I could see it larger.
That one alone is worth the price of admission. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And then this is the one. What's in a name? That's by John himself, John Edenfield, and he did the drawings there. But that one actually was written by Will Aldred. So I mean, you see all the different styles, all the different looks. It's one of the coolest things that you're not locked into just, well, this is all going to look the same. You got different writers. I believe I did 3. I think John did 2 illustrate. He drew 2, but I know John Edenfield drew 2, but I don't know if he wrote 2. I think I may be the only one with multiple stories as a writer in there. So, but I was actually going to be in a 4th.
Really?
Yeah, another friend of mine, Matt Parton, was supposed to. He was supposed to have a story in here. I was going to ink his. I didn't write it. He wrote it himself and everything, but COVID, it cost him some time. He couldn't get through it, finish it, and he got. Unfortunately, he has to step out. I was really sad because I had gotten a good friend of mine, Robbie Bryant, to do the coloring, and I thought it was going to be looking great. So that's for volume 2, people. That's already that was for volume 2. That's only going to be in volume 2. So, and you can see here on the Kickstarter, you can see all the different artists of us. Yeah. There's all the info you can see of us there.
And how do we get a free 40-page preview?
You just click on
that.
On that. Yeah, and you're going to actually, and that preview it's you get complete stories. You get John's, Jack and Jill. You get the one I'm talking about, the Studio Gilby looking one by Brad Fowler. You get the one from the Hansel and Gretel version. You get that one, and you get Angela Audley's and Russell's. So you actually get a lot of the good ones right there. You can see it right there. Yeah. You get Angela's. That preview is really good because out of that preview, you get 40 pages out of the 172. You see the actual story, so you're not getting like, to be continued in. No, you can actually read the whole things, and it really gives you a broad feel of all the different types. Look, go down a little more, not to disparage, not to hurt, but I love people. There's Jack and Jill. That's the one for John. I want to show you here. Check this out. This is the one I'm telling you about. Wait till you get 2 pages down. The next page.
Ooh, there's that. That's gorgeous.
Look at that.
That is gorgeous.
I remember when they posted that one, I was like, I hate you. You're making me up my ante. Yeah. No.
Dude, I mean, it is beautiful.
That's 2 pages. Watch the next 2 pages. Look at that.
Yeah.
In the contrasting of styles and stuff, it's really great. This is Kevin Marklow. This project, even if I wasn't in it, I would tell you this would be like a no-brainer. It is absolutely so stunning. Everything that's in here, you can just tell the time and effort that was put in here by everybody.
Yeah. This is gorgeous. I mean, everywhere you look. Wow. I'm sorry. I'm really getting into the art here.
Look at that one. That's the Brent Fowler one and the Cesar Gutierrez and Lisa Moore. Also, I think she did the lettering on that one. Look at that. That looks like Studio Gilby. That looks like an animated movie.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. It's really one of the cool. That is actually a twist on that because I think believe is that it's a story about the wolf, Big Bad Wolf and the 7 kids, something like that, and it changes the characters around. So it's a really nice interpretation of that. Which going back to this is the funniest one, man. This is like, so that is definitely picking on what happened nowadays. It's like about talking. Where's your mask? It's really an examination of what we went through during the COVID and all this kind of stuff going on. And that's the end of the preview. So you really get a lot of great stuff there.
It's gorgeous. I mean, all the work I'm seeing right now, I'm excited for.
You can go to my portfolio. I have in my link tree. I think you posted it up here. There's a spot. There's on my link tree. You can see where it's a preview.
My stories preview.
Yeah. Okay. You go to there, and then you can see there's my story. Then you can go up a little more. That's all the info. I put all the info, all the credits for all my friends, everybody. That's all the people involved. And then these are the different reviews I've gotten. Dirk Manning did one, a few other ones. So but it's like a lot of good reviews here. I'm really flabbergasted about how well these people love the stuff. Like if you go all the way down, keep going. I mean, people can look at those on their own. All right, here it is. Then you can actually see. You can actually see here. I didn't want to review the whole thing, so you see 8 pages of Jocko, all action, as you can see here. There's a lot of different. A lot of moving around, a lot of good action here. Like I said, this is like looking into the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s kind of action movies, nonstop. You're wondering what the heck's going on here. There's almost all these explosions. Sigmund did a great job in getting the color the way I wanted it. And of course, we get to this point and we reveal there's a big monster there. So, and I said to be continued because I didn't want to give away too much of the final 2. Yeah. Now this is takeout. Now takeout, you're not going to see the final my 3 pages. Mm-hmm. You're just going to see now if you over here you can tell that it's in rhyme. Okay, I wrote that one in rhyme, so you can look up here. Let me see if I can see a little more. Now it says. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see. Wait, I can actually.
I can read it if you want. Once upon a time, there was a wolf that was hungry. He went in search of food across the country. Finding a house with pigs, he figured it was an easy gig. And then he huffs and he puffs. Okay. Off he fled without getting fed. After climbing a hill so steep, he comes across a lone sheep. Sorry, I feel like I'm reading to kids right now when I'm reading it.
But you know, this is one of the questions we had a while ago. Yeah. This story starts off this way. Yeah. You know, and so everything's going fine. I love this line here. This one down here, I really remember that we were talking about for kids. There was I had a little expression where his head, that big bulge up there. I put something up top there, 3 little letters, and John asked me to remove them. I said, "But dude, all kids know that when it means this. Yeah, just because they know doesn't mean we should put it in there." I'm like, "Okay, it's your book, man. I'll take it out." Yeah. So that's why I did the next line.
It appears the protector of the sheep is the one who doesn't take any beef. I love that. I love it.
So I decided, I'll play off of that, Yeah. And to be honest, this story, when I wrote it and I gave Matt Buttich the whole thing, and I also here I wanted to give Bo Peep, because we've seen Disney do, so I wanted to give her more like a Southern West or a Western Kentucky kind of vibe. So I like it when she said, I get, and he goes like, yeah, bring it B. You know what we're thinking? He's thinking like, oh, but B. So once again, I'm playing with the curve.
I love that you got a little hidden Mickey. Not me. I was going to say hidden Mickey from all my Disney love, but a hidden Pinocchio right there.
Yeah, I wonder why.
But I love that his nose comes off the paper.
Yeah, that was a no detail. Yeah. So it's one of those. So that's let me see. Okay, so now so there we go into the. And still, like I said, we see this story is based off Wolf in Sheep's Clothing.
Okay.
All right, and there's certain things that happen in the story. I don't deviate much from that story. All right, now this here I'll throw it out here. I know this will go over people's head. Okay, he's white. All right, he's white, but then he bonks his head. I know people won't get it. That's why I'm going to explain it. That's my little wink to the stormtroopers of Star Wars. Oh. That they bumping their heads, and so he's white and he bumped his head. So he's like yum. So we have a farmer woman coming out, and she goes, sucker. And I like the way I played with this line over here. You'll see the last line over here says, "Why do you come on in to the site where it's warm and nice instead of nice and warm?" Because I want people to, when they read, they go like, that's not the way they say it. So it's kind of uncomfortable already. Yeah. And then you got all this going on here, which is really nice. He's like, here you go, sit down while I get you something to eat. He goes, I'm getting a back rub. Oh, this is the life. Wait, why am I falling so sleepy? And we got a squeaking noise. And of course, it's to be continued. And that's where it really goes off the rails. And this one, I didn't put anything else. This is just the first page of my Sociale Speculum. If we can go up a second, because that I wasn't sure. This was a really tough piece of work for me. Because originally I approached about 5 different artists, and they all said no for different reasons. One, too busy. One, not my cup of tea. And one, not my kind of topic. One, you're not paying me. One, no. So I was like, fine. But then I got somebody to actually do it, and he was like a really recognized star, and I was like, holy crap. And then unfortunately, well, when the time came to start working it, crickets. I couldn't find them. I couldn't get them. What was going on? And I got really depressed. I could not believe it. I was thinking, what can I do? And I talked to John. John, I don't know what I'm going to do, man. He says, well, what have you done? Well, I did the first page. I mean, I got it this way. And he looked at it. He was like, I really like it. What are you waiting for? I'm like, because I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I lost my art. He says, well, you got to do it. And I started working on it, and I couldn't get it done. I could not find the voice for it. I could not get it going. It wasn't until I was barely getting close to the deadline that I told John, dude, I really can't figure this out. And he says, well, I feel really bad because for me, this is your strongest story. I really want you to do this one. I go like, well, let me go back. And it wasn't until I was sitting down, because the way I draw sometimes for these pages, I don't draw the page 11 by 17 like most people do and do everything on it. No, I go every panel. Like, for example, for the takeout, the next page, which is page 8, you can't see it on takeout because I didn't put it there.
Okay.
There are really 6 panels. 2 of them are in black, photo black, so they don't count. The other 4, I did them. Each panel, I created it as a 9 by 12. And then I photoshopped them in to the size after I inked them. And then I recolored them at an actual 9 by 12. They're actually poster size. So for this story, I ended up doing every panel, started to work it like really big and trying to figure out, I want to do it this way. I want to do it this way. And then it wasn't until I did page number 6 that I felt, oh my God, I can do it this way. And then I had to scrap everything, and I created this here. And I went with the idea that's now in here, which I didn't want to reveal because it's so different. So if we can go up to the reviews a second. I think, let me see, we go up there. Okay, that one. This one is probably the one that made me almost cry how important this one is. Like, this story is unexpectedly evocative. It calls for justice and fairness, and the reader already knows there will be none. The cries of hate and fear echoed throughout the narrative are strong allegories to the social injustices faced by so many. This is a story that needs to be read. For me, that was emotional when I read that. I couldn't believe somebody picked it up. But if you go up a little more, let me see if it's James who did it. That was Becky Fuller, the colorist. Here it is. Creative paneling and presentation decorate the most thought-provoking piece of the set. And that for me has been a vindication, because I'm telling you, man, I was scared. I'm thinking, my God, look at what all these people are doing. And I'm going to throw in this thing that's going to be the turd. It's like, it's going to look terrible. And it's not going to be the best. And I'm thinking, I really didn't want to put the story that I thought was so important with just my art. But hey, it actually looks like it worked. And I can't wait. And that one I'm keeping a secret, because I want people to, when they get the book, to read it fresh off the press. But it's a story that I think will surprise a lot of people, especially the ending. It's not one, like, it's basically what you're not expecting the way to go. And then of course you got the dress. If we go down again, I want to show the dress, which is the that's my daughter.
Look at that, because that's your daughter. Whoops, did I go too far?
There it is.
The dress.
Now, let's be clear here. She actually draws these captions. Those are not Photoshop. She actually drew those. Okay, I told her, Beba, you can actually no. She drew those. All right, she draws everything. Cinderella. This is based off of Cinderella.
Yeah.
But in this case, Cinderella has a stepbrother instead of stepsisters. Just one stepsister and one stepbrother. Mm-hmm. And I remember this is where the message comes in there. I helped her with the way the panels are working, to try to touch other stuff so people can see the way it should flow. Now here I remember that the messenger, she wanted to show the guy in cape and regal, and go like, No, you don't need to. I mean, we're behind schedule. Let's move. That's no longer necessary. You don't need to show that. But if you can see here, you can tell the emotions of the characters. And a little side note, she is the Cinderella. She used herself as a reference. So you're basically my daughter. That is my daughter. So the Frederick, which is the stepbrother's name, he wants to try to help Cinderella, and he tries to sew his own dress for her because there are no magical mice here. No. So he says, well, I got to go into the city. And he goes, after failing, he decides, okay, let me go now into the city and see if I can get a dress for Cinderella. And everybody says, no. And I could easily relate to that. Like, no. So, no, you need to pay money. And then he reaches this other seamstress, or this is Taylor, and he explains and stuff. It's funny because we had to make sure that the picture of Cinderella she put in there was looking. She was saying it looked like too much like the icon for the Cooking Mama game from Nintendo. She played.
Oh yeah, I know the game.
We had to cut a few things around it. So my only contribution to this book was that castle. I actually drew that.
Okay.
I drew the castle because she was running out of time.
And
then I put a big fencing and like stuff, and she says, I don't want the fencing. I'm going to put the green around it. I said, well, it's your book. You do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So she did that. And so that's my only little contribution.
Nice.
For me, this next page is I literally wept when I saw this one because as to how emotional she came up with, the use of how the eyes move from one point to the other, the look of Cinderella when she sees the stepbrother, the way the stepbrother's looking at her. It is just incredible to think that a 17-year-old has figured out to do stuff that I've seen many professionals fail at.
Oh, miserably. Yeah, totally.
Miserably. And, and it's just incredible how she pulled that off. This is really nice. Now, this one here, when she arrives at the ball, she had wanted to do paparazzi and a whole bunch of stuff in the back. And I said, yeah, you can do that, but you're going to really put too much, make the scene too busy. Then you're going to distract from all this here and leave that out. So we left the last two pages. The last two pages are a nice surprise. We didn't want to spoil them here.
Yeah. No, it's gorgeous stuff here.
I mean, I remember that when I asked John, she was having finals and stuff when she needed to bring this into final date, and she was not going to make it. I mean, she was not going to make it. So she actually came to me, says, Dad, I said, what? Could you ink it for me? You finish it for me? I'm like, I don't want to do it. So I called John. I said, John, this is the deal. She can't finish it in time, so I'm going to have to come in here and do the backgrounds and stuff for her. She goes, and John was resolute. He says, no. What do you mean no? No. Your style is way too different than hers. No. I'll give her a few more days. Tell her by Friday she's got to have it. I said, okay, we're good. And we burned the midnight oil and got it. But I still did something anyway. So, but I know exactly. John really liked what he was seeing from her. He said, no, don't let her do it herself. Don't mess with the backgrounds and stuff. And yeah, and it really, really came out great.
Yeah, she did a wonderful job.
I mean, it's not many 17-year-olds get a chance like this. I wish I did, and I didn't go. So she's gotten it, and it makes it a lot more obvious of why she got into every college that she applied to from SCAD to Parson, which is the other one. She got into FIT. All the ones in town. Everybody said yes to her. I said, really? I can't imagine why. So I was really happy for her. So unlike my parents, I was very supportive and said, yeah, you got to go.
No, she's got a great future, I think.
Yeah. And she already got into an anthology I didn't get into.
Wow.
She got in and she said, well, I don't know if I want to do a pinup. I guarantee you, if you submit a pinup, you get in. And she did. Because it's easier. When an editor doesn't know you, it's a lot easier to go with a low number for stories, because if at the worst they'll say, well, if this sucks, I can always eliminate 2 pages than 10. I could find something to fit 2 pages. So in her case, she went with 1 page. She was like, yeah, go for it. So she handed it in. It was actually, she ended up, it's for an anthology called I Like Robots. And she created a 50s ad, but with robots. So it has that 50s look and everything, like the old perfumes from the 50s and stuff. It's really well done. I was like, really, really smart. So I was like, that looks great.
That's fantastic. I'm happy to hear that for her.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Sorry.
I can keep gushing about all this stuff here, but I'm telling you, like, it really is a great piece. And like right now, for the next few hours, I think we still got until tomorrow. You can pledge, or if you get it you can do $15, which will get you the PDF, which is still a good deal. It's 172 pages. All right, so that's $15 for 30 page or less. So but for now, you can get this for $35, $5 off. And I think there's how many hours are left? I think because that's
a little under 15. I refreshed this when we started, so maybe 14.
Yeah, so it's 15 hours left for the early birds. And look at it this way: the 35 includes shipping. This is a hardcover. Really? Yes, this is a hardcover. So you're getting a hardcover that's going to be packed really nice, and that would normally be charged maybe it's 172 pages, maybe $10 to ship it to anywhere. So you're really getting the book for $25.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
So it's a great deal. Now there was an option that is gone. That was to get all the PDF, all the digital stuff. Plus, there's going to be a wood book, a slipcase you can purchase. That's I think that's in that's 60 is.
No,
that's a map.
Yeah, that's the map. 80 is the slipcase.
Yeah, but there was one for $100 that had like all the stuff, everything. Those are sold out. That's gone.
Oh yeah, now because we're down to 200 now, and that's original art.
Yeah. And there was the original cover was also sold already. The original inks, the original pencils of that was done by John. So those are gone.
And 600 or more is make an awesome anthology course. So
that's the course that he took, and actually I'm taking. It's done by Russell Nolte. He created it, and it's a great way to understand all the things you need to get done to do an anthology. A lot of the problems when people don't get projects funded is because they missed on very simple things, and that will teach you how to avoid those pitfalls. And sometimes it's going too fast. Sometimes you're very lucky, you get it done, but like this project has been in the mind of these guys for 2 years. So
and then the last one here for 1,400 is
he does the whole artwork.
Dude, I gotta say, with the time left, I mean, you guys bid what you want, but if you don't have a lot of cash, this $35 is perfect for everything right now. I mean, I think that's a great deal. I mean, you have 81 backers already on that out of how many backers you guys got now?
160. Right? About half of them are there.
163. So half of them are at that one. Yep. I mean, listen. I mean, you guys watching at home bid what you want. But I will say, if you're a little low on cash, that $35 one is perfect. But I mean,
even the $15 one, we should get the PDF. Oh, by the way, if you go all the way down, Michael, not there on the other side, where it says there's the pie. That's where you can see where all the money is going to. Nothing's like being, we're going to hold it off now. But then when you look at the timeline, that's the cool thing. If you go down here to the timeline, you can see that the PDFs are actually sent out before the actual book is there. See the rewards, digital rewards will go out like by July. So
end of July.
This is one thing I want to emphasize to everybody. The book is done. Okay, we're not waiting on the colorist, not waiting on lettering, we're not waiting on pencils, we're not waiting on covers. No, it is done. It is just waiting for all of you to sponsor us, to help us get it done so it can go to print. There's no waiting. I mean, there's so many times. There are books out there from really big stars, 2 years, 3 years going on. And everything's like, okay, fine. But I feel like this is the way I would do it. I would love to have it ready so everybody can get it ASAP, because the way right now it's looking at, even for the print, we're looking at early October. Worst case would be first week of November. This is the best Christmas holiday gift you could give anybody because you got a lot of good stuff in one little package. So I would take advantage of it. Really, really would do.
I think it's fantastic. This is great. I mean, like I said, I know I'm donating, and I love the topic. I love the artwork. I love the ideas behind the story. It's got a great team. I know a few of your team members, like I said, and they're all very talented people. Everyone who's on this project.
And it's like, well, I was saying before that I did all these conventions. Well, by doing all those conventions, this is how do we get here? How did I get here to Not So Fairy Tales? A guy nobody a year or two ago nobody knew about. Simple. I met at a convention Matt Parton. Matt Parton and I have done a few things together, and stuff. But then Matt tells me, "Hey, a buddy of mine is doing Horrendous." I couldn't get in on that one, but then he says, "Look, I'm doing another book called Stupendous. Come on in here." And I go like, "Okay, I'll do Stupendous." So I do that. And then he says, "I want you to do Horrendous now." I say, "Okay, I'll do Horrendous." And then I meet other people. And they're like, "Okay, I'm doing this book. What do you think I'm doing?" That's how I got into Not So Fairy Tales. Now, by doing Not So Fairy Tales, I got called in by another friend who's in the book. He says, "Look, I'm going to do this one. Would you be interested in writing for it?" And I'm doing 2 stories for that one. Then I got another gentleman who also sees me in this Not So Fairy Tales. And go like, "Hey, man, I'm doing this book. Can you contribute something?" And I go like, "Yeah, I'm very committing one story by myself." I got another person asking me to do a story artwork for that story. He wants me to do art for his. So now I'm in. So it's basically, once you get into one circle, and if you can nurture that as to doing well, because everybody knows I'm 2 things: punctual, I won't miss a deadline. I'm actually pretty good at what I do. And third, I promote the heck out of stuff, man. Right up there in that corner, right next to all the other artwork and stuff, it's got a big plaque that says MBA. Okay, MBA. So after all my parents made me go through stuff, I have an MBA and I use it to all my power. So and that's why I try to make sure that like you got to get a good promoter for anything you do. So and it just keeps rolling, man. It's like and these little what do you call it? Even Joe. Now I don't know if Joe's still here.
Joe, well, let me ask Joe Ryan. You still watching? You still part of this here? If so, please. I don't know if anyone. If I think he was watching on Facebook. I don't know if he's on.
But
Facebook.
The thing is that the other day I was going over that about 3 years ago. A whole bunch of us up and coming unknowns got together at a Panera restaurant. I don't remember where in Jersey, because we wanted to make the new image. We want to do a new image company, but obviously it went nowhere. But the funny thing is, I went down the line, and I was talking to Matt Buddish the other day. I'm thinking, who were the people in that group? We look at it, myself. Who else was there? Matt Buddish, who's now doing. He had a Kickstarter and was successful. He's doing one he did the story with me. Who else was in there? Matt Parton. He's probably the most. He's probably the one who's gotten the most recognition as of right now. He is on a high, man. He is doing like children's books and everything. And then Joe was also in that group, and Tevin was in that group. But Tevin actually stopped for a while, and he's come back, and he's doing really well. Christian Espiritu Santo was in there, and things like that. So we're looking at that small group, how much from that little group we've all been expanding and growing and stuff. And Joe's up to a lot of good stuff lately too. But it takes time, you know, and that's one of the things that's always frustrated me, because I'm thinking, man, I'm getting older. These other kids have so much time. Let them go for that. I needed to try to cut corners, and there's no way to cut corners. It's just not. Cut corners, it just doesn't work for you. And so I've learned that let's stay here and keep the course. And last year, without having any shows to do, I was able to produce books and stuff. So, and a lot of where I am today is because of that. So
yeah, no, that's great. I the pandemic, when that started, I thought it was going to be a really good thing for me too. Unfortunately, I was one of the people who got sick and took a while to recover. But I did get at least one project done, which I was hoping to have three, but at least I got one. So it's nice. And as soon as I'm hoping, when I'm waiting on a paycheck, when that one paycheck comes in from a gig I did, that's going to go towards the publishing of it. So and then I'll see about what I'll go from there. But I'm working on some other stuff, and I mean that's the thing. You just got to keep doing it. No one's going to put out the books unless you're drawing, unless you're making them. So
yeah, I mean, I remember Billy. One of the first things he told me when I met him again, when we caught up a few years ago. I'm looking over here. Give me a second. I'm trying to find something real quick. He told me that I was telling him, man, I'm really slow at drawing. He says, so if it takes you 7 years, takes you 6 years, takes you 3 months, whatever it is, just get it out there. Eventually you'll get there. Take your time, make sure it's good. But it's funny because just a year ago, this is what I'm looking over here, my project list. This is what I'm got to be doing right now and got to be working on.
Yeah.
It was absolutely empty. And in just 12 months, I have projects. Right now, I'm doing the inking for a cover of a comic book. I got to do a variant cover for some other friend of mine. I'm got to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different scripts. I got a project coming up with somebody else in August. I'm got to start doing inks for another comic book. I got a project coming up with another great artist, and she's told me she just wants me to help me with writing a few things. So they're doing that.
Yeah.
And I got Horrendous #3 coming out later this year. I got something else going with Matt. I'm like, my God, I'm actually, my wife is telling me, you need to cut back. I said, well, I actually already did, because there was another gentleman who asked me to do the art for another book. And because the time I got accepted into another book that has an earlier deadline, I had to tell him no. I cannot guarantee you I can finish it for you. So I'm like, you better find somebody else. I don't want to leave her on a lurch. So I'm actually having to start telling people, I may not be able to help you now and stuff, which is mind-boggling for me. I am fast. I mean, if I have to draw, it takes, because right now, things that I've completed that are not even out yet. Okay, you got the Not So Fair Tales. I did a tribute to Joe Sanat for the Ink Mill Awards, which for me was a super honor to be allowed to do that. So my artwork will be up on eBay eventually. I did the poster with Matt for the Monster Squad movie. I did the cover inks for a variant coming out of issue #2 of Americayu that will be out end of this month.
Yeah.
I did a one-page story for another anthology called the Fletcher Cross anthology. That was funny because I didn't even write that one. I was just told, here, this is a story. You want to do it? And I'm like, okay. It's like a bunch of robots fighting in space. And I'm like, what's not to like?
Yeah.
And I actually, when I drew them like space samurai kind of stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
And the writer was like, dude, that was not my idea, but I like it, man. I like it. And it's funny because it shows that I wasn't sure I could produce an idea on one page. Like, even though it was written down for me, I was still thinking, wow, how can I go with one page? Because that gives me hope that I can actually start doing stories in 1 page, 2 pages, that can show up in different other places. And actually, next month, in the middle of the month, I did the sketch cards for Rusty Ink. I'm in the Earth Trembles.
Oh, that's
cool. I contributed to that one too. So now I'm also a sketch card artist. So one of those guys,
And Earth Trembles, if you don't mind me asking, what's the topic?
Dinosaurs.
That's what I figured.
Dinosaurs, yeah, dinosaurs. It was a lot of. When Rusty came up to me, he was like, "Hey, you want to do this?" I was like, "Oh my God, what? What is it?" "Oh, it's dinosaurs." "Yes, I don't have to draw humans. This is awesome." This is awesome. I can go any way I want. And I'm actually really happy with them. I did 10. And actually a lot more than I thought I could do. And I said, hey, I'll do 10. They were like, you want 10? Yeah, I'll do 10. Okay. They were a lot of fun. But I also got these here. These are not the same. But I was like, these are like preview ones that like little. It says, see, the little dinosaur and then.
Yeah.
But these are like ones I could use for. This is not the same format, but it's really cool for that. So.
And Joe Ryan commented he was on that project too, and that it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Joe's like following me all over the place. You know, he's not. You know, let me be, man.
I finally got to meet him over the weekend at PalCon. He's been watching.
I read the posting about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been a fan of the show, which I thank you for since the beginning, and you know, I've been following him.
Really cool. He actually shows up for mine as well, so he's really cool about that. No, I think I was telling, I don't know if Joe just popped in or what, but I was telling him about the time we went to do that meeting in Panera, and we were like all of us trying to make our new company together, and how most of us have actually moved pretty much better since then, you know. So it's like, including yourself, so it's all pretty good.
Yeah.
So really good. Well, like I said, you know, I'll be this week at Garden State Carmen Fest in the Mill over in Elizabethtown. So.
Yeah, and this is actually what I was about to get to. So this coming weekend, it's a 2-day show or a 3-day? 3-day show. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And where Elizabeth, you said?
Yes, in Elizabeth, New Jersey. It's in the Mill of New Jersey. This is really, I call it a tourist trap mall because it's so close to the airport. You know, like people come into the airport. Oh, we got 3 hours to kill. Oh, let's go to the mall, and that's what they do. They go there. So it's really high end. It's really nice.
Yeah.
And I believe we're taking over. I don't know if it was a Model or one of these stores that are no longer there.
Yeah.
And we got like a big area. I mean, I saw the map. It's humongous area.
Well, I'm hoping. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm going to be right next to Keith, and I got Phil Russell from Legendary Illustrations next to me.
Yeah, you know what? I actually have interviewed both. I've never met Phil in person. Seems like an awesome dude. I look forward to meeting him. He's from Long Island. He does his shows out there. So I'm hoping I could get to one of his shows. Keith, I've had on the show, has been one of my favorite artists. I don't even know for how long. And probably the nicest person I'll ever meet in the industry. I don't know if there's anyone nicer. I've always said every time I see him, the guy has a smile on his face. I've never seen him without a smile. Such a great guy. I'm hoping I can show up on Sunday. I don't know if I can yet. I'm hoping, because I got to say, Sal and Dave, who put on Garden State is one of my favorite shows to do. They're awesome guys. They know they know what the fans want, and they put on a great show all the time. So.
Yeah, 2 years ago, I did a VIP piece, and it was because I think Howard Mackey was a guest that year, and I thought I'll do a ghostwriter piece that I had with James Avila, and I included it in the VIP. And so this year, I actually did another piece, but it's much smaller. It's like I did a trade card.
Oh, nice.
Of the Jackal character.
Yeah.
This will be all the VIP packages. If you buy a VIP pass, you're going to get this in there for free. And then on the back, it has a nice little offer that I'm not going to show. But if you go there, you get a discount on my table. And one of the things I tried here, and it works, but I'm not going to show you too much, is right here like that. Is that scan those little, because now you scan it and you can it goes directly to all my links. So no more business cards. It's like, don't need those anymore, because right now I would have had to redo all of them because I changed all my social media. Everything has changed. So I was like, no, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have a lot of good stuff there. You know, I mean, if you want, I can show some of it.
I'd be happy to show. Listen, I'm going to give you the full screen right now. Feel free to show. And there you go.
Oh, wow. I can't tell. All right. So, since I'm promoting the Not So Fair Tales, I wanted to do a piece that would really pull in a lot of ideas from the concept of the story. So I talked to John, who did the pencils with me on the story, and I said, look, when we did a show a few weeks ago on my Inking with Kike. I said, let's do a new piece for the show. And then we never got to it. We never got to it because we were more promoting the Kickstarter so much. But I eventually inked it. So this was the piece that he did. And I inked it. So it's right now, you can see it in here, but that's only side 2. Mm-hmm. Side 1 is I decided to do an homage to Akira. And then instead of him running towards a motorcycle, you saw the creature there, so you can see. And then I played with it, so you see instead of the end of the unit world, it was only the beginning. Here at the end of the story was only the beginning. And I played it with like screenplay, me, and cinematography. It's John for the, all the credits of us in the story in there. And then, but the cool thing is that these are only made 8 of these. There are only 8 of these. They're 12 by 18s. They're big babies. They're big babies. There are only 8 of them are available. I'm gonna hand sign them and hand number them. I'm gonna have this is my cover for the variant that I did for Mary Kaiju number 2. I produced it in the same way. You're gonna have it there.
Nice.
All right, there it is. Let me pull this way. So there we go. So this is the cover I did, and the colors here were done by Becky Fuller, and then on the back you get the inks. Just
very
the inks.
Nice.
Just
I like that
the,
a lot.
Just the, and I forgot to say on this one over here, I did inks, colors, and letters. So I did the whole thing except the pencil. So I did that one there. So also my good friend John Oninger, he's the creator of Dweors. So I did 2 versions. I inked 2 pieces of his. He did this. I did this one with him live a while ago. This is a 9x12, and of course you get it on the other side. Is the Dweors logo and the colors and everything. This colors was also by Becky Fuller.
Yeah.
This is funny that she actually bought the original inks. I don't have them anymore. She has them. And then John sent me this one, and I inked it. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun doing this one because he let me really play with it. That little hill here that was not there. I created that. He had a little block, and I said, "Oh, I'll make something out of that." So I created a little hill with a rock in there, and then of course Becky came in and did a
gorgeous
job in pulling that out. And so, and in that vein, I want to show one of the coolest things I have for the show. And these are making their debut at the Garden State. I'm going to pull it out of here so people can see it, because I don't think the plastic's going to work. Here you go.
Oh, beautiful.
This is a 4x4 printed canvas.
Yeah.
It's got, so you can get this in its full color artwork. These are like 8x8. Nice size. You can hang them. I made 16 different ones. They're only one of each. Mm-hmm. They go for 20, but if you go and buy more than one, you're going to get them for 15. So let me see if I can show them here. Probably because this is just samples of. This is when Chris Williams did a Power Girl, and then I drew when I did the inks. Brian Rojas, who's a friend of mine who follows me, he says, she looks Latina, man, the way you did her hair. I go, you know what? Let me try with colors. So I actually added colors and the Puerto Rican flag, and I have this one as a 11x17 print as well, so they can see that one. This is I'm going to have this one. I'm going to show you this one here. Is my Resident Evil version of this is an 8x8 version. And speaking of the Ghost Rider, this is another little version of my Ghost Rider.
Wow.
All right there. And then the big highlights of the show are these over here, which I'm going to pull out real quick. These are my what I call my museum quality ones. These are like you can see they're even in with the plastics and stuff. They include in here you can hear it
for hanging,
for the hanging stuff. Well, this is the one for the link I did years ago with Zach Dolan. Now you can see here that on the side there's an 1.5 inch, so you can have a mirrored image, so you can see the image running all the way across from the image. I'm gonna have the Zelda there. I'm going to have this one. This is a brand new print I'm going to be doing now. It's the Ashoka one.
Okay.
This one was this one was created by Ben Worrell. I did the inks on the show, and then he added colors, and it just looks fantastic. And then this one is also an 11 by 17 print, but I did this version in canvas. This is the Swamp Thing with Blue Devil, and this was actually a piece that I was given to by Paris Cullins a few years ago, and I inked it, and this was colored by Becky Fuller as well.
Nice.
So
I love the Blue Devil. I mean, I love all those type of characters, Swamp Thing, Blue Devil, and Paris is a cool guy, so that's awesome.
So I mean, like I'm gonna have now for the show, these big ones are gonna be available. I got 2 copies of those, and I have a Resident Evil, my Conan versus Predator, and I think which other one is in there? I remember one more. Oh, my Spider-Man versus Lizard is also in canvas.
Oh, wow.
And then I have new prints with the Spider-Gwen and the Boricua Power Girl and stuff. So I got a nice little set. And then, of course, because it's time to move the inventory. So all my 2018 prints that I created are all going to be $5. Okay?
Nice.
$5. All my 2019 prints are going to be $10. And you basically get 2 of them, like 10 to 3 for 20. Okay? So basically you're getting 1 free. And the same thing. Then all the new ones are going to be 15, except these other 2, the Jocko one with the Akira, those are 20, and the other one's going to be 20. Those are limited editions. Yeah. But and the Dweers are going to be also limited. They only did 15 of those. So it's going to be a lot of deals and stuff. And I'm going to have my books that are there. You can buy bundled books and stuff. And if you get the card, you're going to get a discount. I'll give you other discounts. If you come to the table and buy a lot, I'll definitely give you discounts like that. So it's going to be a great show. Just as long as you don't buy from Keith or from Phil, we're good. You know, just walk past them, don't look at them. You know, we're all good. We're all good. No, actually, it's pretty funny because I got Keith is here to my right. Mm-hmm. I'm in the middle. We're both inkers. Phil, he's an art rep and a writer. And then the very next guy is Scott Hanna. So we got 3 inkers. You got 2 greats and a middle guy who's like, what is he doing here? You know, like. No, but it's like funny because I was actually talking to Keith today, and I was telling him, look, I got this going. You're like, look at you flying off, man. It's like you're flying already. You're like you're leaving the nest. And, and it's just like, if I could have maybe a quarter of what he had as a career, I'd be happy.
Yeah. I got to say, when I first met him, it was, I think, 2000 or 2001. He was working on the Phantom comic strip. I think he was the inker on it, I believe. And I'm just a huge Phantom fan, so like I met him at a show and I kind of like geeked out. I felt embarrassed about how much I geeked out over like the work and stuff he had on his table. But yeah, but it was just,
I met him, I think it was 2018 at New York Comic Con, because I remember I was just, like I said, just starting out, had very little followers, hardly anybody. Yeah. And I remember that he followed me. And I was like, I remember seeing him. I'm like, holy crap, Keith Williams is following me. What the hell? And I remember I went over to him and I said, like, Keith, he goes, oh yeah, Keith, I know UFC, I follow your stuff. I'm like, yeah, man, why? Like, why do you follow me? And his answer, I keep remembering it to this day, is like, I like to follow people who have potential. And that for me meant so much that it's been that way. I've been feeling, okay, at least somebody thinks I do. Let me give it a try and keep going at it. I've always told people that I always go put myself down a bit. I go like, no, I'm not that good and stuff. And people say, no, why are you always putting yourself down? And I go like, well, if I start believing my own hype, I'll start being a real dick. You know, I don't want to do that. And I don't want to be that guy that thinks he's like Rob Liefeld. But anyway, but it's not like that. You know, I'm just trying to just make it a little bit. You know, I remember I did a panel once, which was funny. Like, actually, it was from last year's show. in 2020, I got to do a panel at the PowCon of last year.
Yeah.
How to break into comics. It was Keith Williams and me. I'm like, what am I doing here? Why? And it's like, it was so funny because Keith doesn't talk a lot until he wants to.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, I remember when I was part of the Romita Raiders, and then I was in the bullpen next to Bernie Ryder, I had Walt Simonson over here, John Byrne over here. And I'm looking at him like, dude, I can name drop. Why are you doing this to me, man? Seriously, why? And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, man. No, but it was like a lot of fun. And they asked me, really, so how do you break in? I said, like, let's put it this way. If your definition of breaking in is making to do Marvel and DC comics, you're in for a rude awakening. Yeah, but if your goal is just to be part of a community, all you need to do is put a table up. You're in.
Yeah.
That's it. You're done. That's it. Nothing else. Yeah. Nothing more. Putting it out there. And not even that. You can just put up a web page, a DeviantArt, anything to get going.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're in. You're part of the crew. You're part of the party. What you do once you're in, it's up to you. And you really gotta. And that's where it all comes down to. Like, would I be where I am today at the point that I'm feeling that I got work coming down the line for a while? Had I just sat at home and said, well, why aren't they calling me? No. I had to hustle, had to try. I failed a bunch of times. And I got egg on my face. I acted like an idiot and stuff, and it happens. But you learn and you move on. I made a lot of mistakes that I thought were going to cut me down in the middle of a career. I said, oh, I am just starting. I just screwed up already. But those things you learn from. You go like, okay, wow, And the thing is that if you don't learn from them, that's when it's wrong.
Yeah.
But up to now, I feel like I'm learning from every single thing that happens. So let's see. I mean, right now, if my lot in life for the rest of my career, whatever I got left, because at my age, you're more looking at I'm heading towards the end more than I'm beginning. So in my case, if all I'm going to be doing now is going to be anthologies, I can live with that, because I think it's one of the fun things about anthologies is that they're not the same. There's always something different going on. There's always will there be another volume of Not So Fairy Tales Volume 2? If everything's going the way it is, I won't be surprised because of the quality of the people. I'm going to be surprised if it's even bigger a number of people want to get in now. So I'm already telling them I'm already in the next one. I don't care. I'm in. All right, you can't leave me out. But I'm already thinking about stories for the next one. I'm already thinking about, okay, which one can we go with? There was a question that was asked a while ago, and I don't know if it's Christian still here. If he's not, you'll watch it later. Are these all true adaptations? To some degree, there's one. There's the Jack and the Beanstalk follows the story pretty much the way it is, but it has differences. My story of the sheep in the wolf in sheep's clothing is actually damn straight, because that story is not nice. Okay, the real story that happens in it, and I don't follow it exactly, but when the wolf kills the sheep to hide in his skin so he can eat the other sheep, he's waiting at night. But in the actual story from the original version, the farmer gets hungry and decides to go out and eat a sheep. Unfortunately, the wolf gets chosen. All right, so the wolf gets eaten at the end. All right, now you know where the story might go. So I'm just saying it's not the same way, but it's really close. Yeah. My Jackal story is based off of Jack the Giant Killer. Mm-hmm. So you got a little bit of that in there, okay? Now, the only one nobody's going to know about. Okay, what is it? What's in the name is Rumpelstiltskin. Angela Audley's The Frog Princess. It's about the frog, but the Princess of the Frog, but it's got a totally different twist. My daughter's Cinderella. Jeff's is The Emperor's New Clothes with a totally different twist to it. The one with the kids is the Wolf and the Seven Kids. No, that's The Wolf and the Seven Kids. The one with the Brand, I think that was actually the woman in the shoe. I think it was.
Yeah.
There's one about Hansel and Gretel in there, another version. Some of them follow some of the storyline that it was, and others are just like, well, this is the central theme. Let's go with it. How would I write this same thing today? And that's where you get the one with the mask and stuff. So, and stuff like that. So, there are a lot of stuff in there. Now, my third story was is Socialis Speculum. That's Latin. Google it. Okay. All right. If you Google it, you'll know what it means. It took me a while to get to that title. That one is based off a story called Iron John. And I know all of a sudden people were like, yeah, you don't know it. Okay. You don't. I did it on purpose. Because if I used an actual story people know, trying to talk about what I wanted to talk about in the story, you'd be distracted. Wait, those characters are not that. Wait, what? I don't get it. What's he doing? So to avoid that, I looked for something and nobody would know.
Yeah.
Nobody would have an idea. So Iron John is a story really from the Middle Ages. And it talks about this creature. And he gets captured by a knight and put in a cage. And in that cage, he sulks until a kid's ball runs into it. And he grabs the ball and tells the kid, you want the ball back? Yeah. Well, you need to free me. Get the key from upstairs in the castle and free me. And I'll let you go. I'll give you the ball back. Well, the child was actually the prince. And he does free Iron John. And the story goes that the Iron John actually helps him improve in his station in life and be heroic. And eventually it comes out that Iron John was actually a creature of the woods who had a big treasure, etc. All right. That's all fine and dandy, but I didn't like the idea. Only thing I liked was the scene of Iron John with a child. And I thought, these two beings, totally different individuals in these two worlds, will be the perfect way to get this topic done. And it's a conversation between the child and Iron John, one in a cage, one outside the cage. And how I project it and how I give you that illusion is what you read in your comments, saying that it was a very interesting use of paneling. And that's what took me a long time to get to, because it was so, I didn't want it to be like two figures looking at each other all the time. And the typical moving the camera and stuff like that. Like, that's boring. I mean, we've seen that 100 times. So I think because people are not expecting anything from it, you don't know where you're going to. And I think that's why it's been working. And I really use some really interesting styles in my artwork there. So,
well, I got to say, I'm very interested in seeing that. I'm sorry to cut you off for 1 second. I want to say, when you said Iron John, I had to look it up. I was looking down at my phone. I remember the story. I actually believe, if I remember correctly, when I was in school for my master's, my illustration teacher did the cover for one of the book covers, and he showed it in class. When I looked through it, it's all coming back to me. He told me the story too. So I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just looking, and I was.
I mean, like, once you look it up, it's there. It's among the stuff. You know.
Yeah.
When I was hired into this project, I was given a list and say, you got to use this list from here, and there were a whole bunch of stuff. I mean. And then when I sat down to read, what is this one? What is this story about? And I was going like, wow, I never knew about this one. Oh, I never knew about that one. There were characters in there. There were stories I could have sworn people were going to grab. And then they didn't. The story that wasn't produced, the one that I can give this a little bit away, the one that Matt wrote was actually using Humpty Dumpty. And it was, I mean, it was actually a story. As soon as I read it, and everybody the project read it, really wanted it to get done. It was very similar to a story I had already written that I wanted to do in Stupendous, but I didn't include it in Stupendous because when COVID hit, John Muller, who runs the that project asked me, dude, your story is too much of a downer. I mean, it's beautiful, but man, I think people don't want to read that stuff during this time. And so I went with a more up-to-date version of having fun, and so every panel. So I decided. So I told him I need more time. I said, okay, take this time to do it. And it's stupendous. Like the first page is my homage to the Batman original 1989 movie. The first panel is basically that movie.
Yeah.
I'm playing off the slapstick talking. Then the page number 3 is basically my happy accident, in that I couldn't figure out how to get all the panels to work. And I was like, you know what? This will be my homage to Little Eisner. You know, one full page of action that you used to do on Sundays, that you would see everything going on. Yeah. So I was like, that's my page. And it's the best page of the story. I love it. And then I still ran out of time. So Eric Hernandez came in and helped me with 2 pages, and it really worked. And now I like the idea so much that I'm actually expanding it to, I proposed to another, I pitched it to another anthology, a new story, in that world of the Massive Man and Massive Kid. So Kid Massive. So maybe if I get approved for that one, we'll see another chapter of this.
Yeah. I want to tell you, just anthology wise, I have a couple of friends who make anthologies. Now the deadline to get into this current one is past, but if you want to check out the website fugitivepoems.com, they do anthologies, so check them out and pay attention to when the next one, they're going to run their next, I don't want to call it contest or whatever, but submissions for it. They do some really
right now. I have a whole list, and this is one of the things we were talking about, how to get in. There is a Facebook group. It's called Comic Book Anthology Writers, I think it is, something like that. So that's where I've been finding them all. That's where I hear about it, and I go, oh, let me try this one, let me try that one. But in reality, the ones I've been getting easier to get into are the ones when I get like, yo, come over, we want you to do this one. Yeah. And those are that's the easy one. So they want me already. I didn't need to pitch an idea for the Fletcher Cross, because they were actually telling we need artists. So I had to be approved as an artist. They're like, okay, you're in. You're going to do this one. I'm like, ooh. So I'm like, okay. So now that I'm there, now they'll remember, okay, next time we have another project, oh, you say you're a writer too? Okay, let's see what you can do for this character. Yeah. And that's the way it really, if you look at it, if you look at almost any anthology, you start looking at the names on it, like right here. Let's go with the Stupendous. Right now, Stupendous, you look at who's in here. Pilar even, John Endingfield, second. Oh, who's that guy? The producer. Danny Gallagher, Eric Hernandez, Ryan Kroboth. What? He's in Not So Fair Tales. Yeah. Enrique Lopez, Not So Fair Tales. John Muller, Not So Fair Tales. Matt Parton was supposed to be. So you go like, okay, now you're seeing a trend. Now we go to the next one. Who's in this one over here? Oh, let me see. Oh, James Avila, but he's not in this one. Tom Travers, Pilar again. Pilar Yvette again. Oh, Brett Weiss. Oh, Joe Ryan. Where's he now? Not So Fair Tales. Rusty Gilligan. Oh, where's he in? Not So Fair Tales. Enrique Lopez. Not So Fair Tales. Matthew Parton. Not So Fair Tales. Jay Moores. Oh, not So Fair Tales. John Endingfield too. Not So Fair Tales. Ryan Kroboth. You're seeing a trend.
Yeah.
It's like once you're in, and John Muller at the end. So basically, you will notice that a lot of anthology are the same group because they all work in the same thing. So if you go to Russell Nolte's Cleothus Are Hard to Spell books, you'll probably see the same bunch of people, some new people, but it'll be his core, because these are the people he trusts. These are the guys, you can do the big pages. I know you're not going to fail me and stuff like that. So here I'm in that group with John, and John is going he won't mess with me. And what I like is that I already have people that are like already coming up to me and going like, can I work with you? And I'm like, okay. So when I did two pitches for another anthology that's already up. It's called Stupid Kids, The Fun and Facts of Life. And that's also from a guy he's in this book, and Not So Fair Tale, Jeff Weber. And I'm writing 2 stories for that one. One was a 2-pager and one's a 4-pager. But the artists are not the typical artists you see out there. On one of them, the 2 pages could be Joe Critelli Jr. You know him for doing all these sketches or these cartoons are absolutely fantastic looking. But he asked me, dude, I would love to do some sequential. I say, well, I got a 2-pager. Want to give it a try? Yeah, he's in. Another person wants to work. And he says, man, I love your stories, dude. Is there any way we can do something? Is there anything for me? Well, sure there is. I got this story. It's a 4-pager for this book. He goes like, want to do it? Yeah. Who's that? Landanovich. So, I mean, like, he goes like, he wanted to do it. I said, okay. Now, he doesn't do sequentials, but he's going to do it with me. So it's like we each give each other opportunities to expand on what we're doing, you know. So people know me as an inker, but now you're saying, wait, he writes? Ooh, wait, he also draws. Ooh, interesting. So it's like we expand so we get more opportunities in different areas, you know. But it's a lot of work. So in another one, I'm doing the writing and I'm drawing it for another one. And then, and he wants me to pitch another one. I was like, whoa. And then, but I'm waiting to see if he wants me to draw his because I have to draw somebody else's. I mean, I'm looking at somebody else already wants me to do another one for the same book. I'm going to be exploring that book.
Wow.
So it's one of those things that, like, you were telling me, I wish I could get in early on these things. Well, that's what you know. You got to make sure people know you want to get involved. So you can get involved.
Yeah, I mean.
No, now that I know, I'll talk. Okay, I made it up. Michael wants to get in.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, you know, I'm very. For me, I have. I've been wanting to do more reaching out. It's just my schedule hasn't allowed me to, so I got to figure out how to plan out my schedule. I want to start definitely. Again, I did this. I started in comics in 1997. I self-published this little crappy digest here of my little character Plunger Pup. All right, and I ended up doing a 3-issue series, and I was going to get into this a little comedy called The Ridiculous Heroes with Plunger Pup as the guest as the main character, and things fall off. Day jobs happen, gotta pay bills and whatnot. But I worked from 97 to about 2000 maybe 6. I was probably in I've done work for a good maybe 15 or 16 indie publishers, around that number. And then I was out for a little bit, came back around 2012, and I started doing indie work a little bit. And that kind of died off due to, scheduling again, bills, medical issues, whatever. Now I'm like, it's time. I have to start getting back into it. I just love being part of these things. And whether it's an anthology, a few pages, side story, whatever it is, I just love doing those type of things. But I'm in the meantime, I'm working on all my own stuff right now to bring that out. So I got when I was on your show, Dax Photon, the guy I was thinking, that's my big project right now. And then I'm bringing back Plunger Pup. So those are my two big works at the moment, privately. But I'd love to start doing stuff for other people. So I got to just put that portfolio out there again. And
right now, I'm getting into the fact that I'm doing stuff for other projects, but I've been meeting new artists that I look at. This person will work great with me if I do this story. So I have this original characters of mine that I wrote 3 novels. I did a trilogy pretty similar to in the 80s. That was my Lord of the Rings. And I still have those, but I've been trying to get my first story out, which is the introduction of the main characters and the world of stuff, which was a short story I presented to Fantasy Magazine and stuff like that. And no, they didn't accept it, which looking back, it wasn't really that well written. Now it's been rewritten. I've rewritten the script for it for the issue number 1 about 10 times already.
Yeah.
But it's ready to the point that I feel like, hey, I can produce it now. I actually showed it to Keith, and he ran away screaming and said, I can't do this. Because it's like, why? Look at all these horses. No, I mean, wait, did he do the Phantom? No, it's not the same. There's only one horse.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Only one horse. You know, okay. But then I've been meeting so many other artists lately. I'm like, wow, this guy, this woman, these people. So what I'm planning to do before I go into that story, I'm going to produce a book with four or five stories, almost like a mini anthology, in which I will show stories of that universe from different times within the trilogy, so people can get a taste of this is what's going to look like in this moment, this is what's going to look like at that moment. And there's one story that's going to lead into directly the story I want to launch the production with. But I'm looking at that maybe 2-3 years down, because it's going to take, because I want to have that book done, have the other story pretty much done. So when I Kickstarter, they go like one, then the other one's done, then we go with this one, and then we launch the series 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way done. My hope was to get George Perez to do the series, but I don't think that's possible.
No, I don't think these days.
He retired. He retired. So, but maybe I can get him to do a cover. You never know. But because I really think that what bothers me is that now people go like, man, they did that already. Good Game of Thrones. Hey, I wrote it in the 80s, man, before this stuff was. Not my fault.
I seem to fall into that because, either I got lazy and didn't put a project together or something, but I have the outlines. I remember talking, showing something to somebody back in college. So we're talking like somewhere between 94 and 2000, for between that and my master's, whatever. And then they used it. I forget what season it was, but it was one of the seasons of the show Supernatural. I'm like, wait, that was my idea. It's like, if I, and in my head is like, if I only did that book when I wanted to, they could have been stealing from me. Now it's going to look like I'm stealing from them,
Yeah, and that's one of the things that stops me from reading a lot of stuff lately, because I don't want to be subliminally getting something back here and then writing about it. But the reality is, it's going to happen no matter what, because there's so much stuff being said. I mean, let's face it, how many times can you do a story about a being coming down to Earth to save everybody? I mean, you can go as far back as the Bible, or go as to now to Superman, Icon, anything. And the thing is to give it your own twist, to give it your own idea, because they're all the same things. Finding that original idea is far, far harder. But there probably are there, I mean, but everything has an element that people, oh yeah, that's that. Well, that's a little steampunk with this. But yeah, all you got to do is like look on the TV shows, you see on the cable, you see on Netflix and stuff. They're always turning these stuff. I mean, it's almost impossible not to hit something that you go like, isn't that the same? Is it not similar? And the issue is to find a way that you make it interesting and wanting people to sit around whatever time it takes them to read it, spend their time in that universe, and like saying, yeah, I could have been watching on TV, but I like it better when I read it here and see it here. So that's the challenge. I mean, we're back in the day, there wasn't all these distractions. Now you got to think about, what can I do now to make sure that somebody will sit down to read this versus playing Call of Duty or streaming Netflix or doing this other thing. So it's a lot of impulses for a person to sit down. So you really have to break through all that noise with something really out great. And that's why I think this Not So Fair Tales is probably one of those products that will definitely break that monotony. And people are like, hey, wait a minute, let's check this thing out.
No, but I mean, you're right. It's there's so many people out there. They're gonna have the same ideas. You can't help it. People think because you got to think, like, just going back to my thing. I don't think the guy who created Supernatural is too much older than me. I'm 45. I don't know his age off the top of my head, but we were probably grew up on the same thing, had the same influences, so we get similar thoughts. You know what I mean? Like, let's, we think about something like that. And let's see, we got a comment here from Joe Ryan. He says, very true. Mine's inspired by Back to the Future series, but I added my own spin with the subjects I love, and that's what you got to do. plunger pup for me was Green Lantern meets Star Wars. When I created, I'm like, what's going to be his story? He was just a drawing for a while, and then I'm like, what do I love? I love Star Wars and Green Lantern, and how did I merge that together and create a universe and cast the characters to go along with it, yep. And I started parodying things I love, so there's an Obi-Wan Kenobi character, but he could be very similar to Doctor Who instead, so it's like, so it's like the Doctor type. So I took things that I loved and just kind of merged it together and said, if it works, it works.
See, the stories that big universe I want to get into was my Lord of the Rings kind of idea, but I totally avoided elves or none of that stuff. It's more, I'm trying to get it a little bit more realistic. I remember I actually sat down with historians to say what would work in this kind of era, what would be the right formations, what would a siege really work like, how long would these things last, to make it more realistic within the context of the comic, in this case was a novel. But now when I went back to working on it, I was thinking that now it's different because now there's been a Lord of the Rings movie. So there are certain things that people will think about how, when you imagine it, what do you look like? Are there going to be sweeping moves with the camera? Things like that. So now I have to play with, okay, that's why that introductory scene, which was was never in the original story. I added it later because I thought, now I have to bring that pop to start. Before it was a very simple, the character just popped up in the middle of this, started at a very tranquil scene, everything was nice, and then we moved into the action. Now I want to hit character development, really scene, and then hit the audience with something really, really fast immediately that'll get their head spinning, like what is going on? Until then we have to slowly bring everybody back because the first scene takes place 10 years before the scene begins again. So what happens between those 10 years? What is going on? So, and then after this story is done, when the main story comes around, another 10 years will have passed, 10 or 15. Characters we're seeing now who are youthful will be much older when the next time comes around. So it's a really long story, and hopefully before I die, I can get it. Hopefully before then. And
you'll totally do it. I have faith. You're a hard worker. You're producing. You're going to get it done.
And like I said, right now, this opportunity of having the Kickstarter Indiegogo shows me that, it is possible to get it done. But we put a lot of work into the promotion and everything. So I've seen a lot of projects not make it. And they just, sometimes it's pretty obvious it's not going to make it. I remember seeing a few of them. They're like, no characters, no cast, not much of an explanation. Doesn't tell you how you're going to spend the money. He wants 15 grand. I go like, really? That doesn't look very enticing. Then he's like, I don't know why I failed, because you didn't tell. First of all, who's writing, who's drawing, who's doing. Really? No, we don't go on faith, babe.
Yeah.
And that pie chart for me is really important. I mean, you read about it that people want to know where the money's going, and if they look at the list, okay, oh, you're not paying your artists. Ooh, not nice. Oh yeah, you are. Okay, good. All right, here we go. Bam, 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 etc. So, I mean, it's just the way it helps entice the person to want to give that. It's like my wife doesn't get it. What is all this Kickstarter? Say, imagine you're investing in an IP in stocks. Not basically the way you're doing it, except that you're actually buying a product before it's done. Before it's done, you with the hope that when it's done, that by giving the money, it will get produced. So that's what we're looking at. So hopefully, I mean, right now, I don't know what's the latest number now.
Well, I donated while this was going on tonight.
Well,
so you're very welcome. So let's see, where are we at here? I just wasn't going to share anything right now just because of the amount here. So let me just for being on the air, I didn't want to be typing. So I'm refreshing the page. It says you're at $7,340, $164. I mean, 164 people plus me donated. So,
nice.
I mean, so yes, you got another one. Hopefully, people out there watching tonight or watching in the future, I'll tell you right now, I will be sharing the YouTube link with you after we're off the air. It takes a little. It'll be at some point tomorrow, and you can just share this as much as you want. Get people to know. Thank you, Michael. Oh, much appreciated. Felt great. You're welcome, Joe. Joe, this is a great story, and like I said, it's one of those things that it's just a topic I love. Even when I teach, I teach a lot of art and what's it called? Cartooning, storytelling, things like that. I always go to fairy tales because I always tell people public domain is the way to go when you're learning, or if you have issues creating characters, they're already there, and you have access to their stories.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm constantly looking at that to try to find, what can I do with these guys? And there is one, but I'm having trouble pinpointing if he is or isn't, because I see other companies kind of use the character, and then I'm going like, but is it or isn't it? And I keep reading that this character is in a few countries, and others he isn't, because I got a great idea that I want to do for a character using an old public domain character, but in a different sense. I want to go with an 80s, 90s vibe for that one. But
do you mind sharing who the character is? Maybe I know.
Zorro.
Okay, there is. Okay, first of all, I'm a huge Zorro fan, so I would be totally into reading this. But I believe, if I remember what I'm reading, I'll have to go back and look it up. But if what I read is correct, only I think his first book is in public domain. The rest of the works aren't. I mean, the Johnston McCulley estate still holds the rights to a lot of what's going on. So the first book was The Curse of Capistrano, I think. I think what's in there, so whatever version, however he's described that type of stuff, is in public
because I read that about that. The name cannot be like, you can't say it's domain. That's domain. Other things like, so there's certain things that people recognize, like the whip and the hat and stuff like that. So, but where beyond that does it go, and what can be used? It's like Conan. Conan, the estate, the rights are now with Marvel. It used to be with Dark Horse, and now it's Marvel. But if I wanted to take any of the novels and make a graphic novel, I can do that.
Yeah, as long as those novels are in the public domain.
And create new Conan stories.
Yeah,
that's what I cannot do. So that's the thing in the moment.
Technically, you can, as long as it's within the world of what happened in those stories. So, like in what is it why am I blanking on the year Superman came out? Was that 20? No, 9. What year did Superman come out again? 1938. So when it gets to the time that Superman is in public domain, he will be only that Action Comics #1 stories are in public domain. So it has to be that style of Superman. That anything that you can't have Lex Luthor. He wasn't in the book. No Lois Lane. His powers were limited back then. So like you'll be limited to what was in that thing. Like there's even some Captain Marvel, the Shazam stuff, the Fawcett City. It's like, I don't know the exact issues, but say 1 through 4 are technically public domain. Everything else DC has a right to. Anything after that when they bought them, so or acquired the rights. So there's a lot of different things. For me, I tend to lean towards mythology, fairy tale characters. So like I'd rather use King Arthur and Hercules or something on a team than try to use a character like Zorro, even though I truly love Zorro and have ideas for him. I don't want to. I in my head, I just don't want to deal with that. Yeah, but I do believe you can even change his name, but basically give him the same look. You give him the same look, the same weapons, and I don't know. You call him the Spanish Fox now or something. I don't. You know what I mean? Like you just change the name to something like that, and that's possible to be done. You know.
We'll see. I mean, it's like right now, it's those things. I just look at them and like I'm thinking like, don't forget that we had not too long ago. Who was it? Alan Moore did the legendary the men.
The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, basically using all those public domain stuff.
That's what everyone there, and you could actually use every single character he did, but you can't call it the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, right. And you can't tell the stories he told with them. But if you want Alan Quartermain and whoever else in there, all those things are open, and you could do your own stories with those characters.
Yeah, that's the cool thing. That's why we went for these stories. They gave us a list of the public domain ones to make sure we stay. But he also said, stay within the fairy tale versions. Now, don't go over here. There's other stuff. And but when I sat down, there were interesting characters I had never heard about, and I was like, oh, I want to check this one. I'll check this. So I had a whole list. Because even if you go like with Pinocchio, there were some of the stories of Pinocchio. He was a mean SOB. You know,
oh yeah, and it's dark too. He was, if I remember correctly, wasn't he like burned at the stake? If I remember the story.
Yeah.
He was.
So, he kicked Geppetto and stuff. He would bite him and stuff. So he was not a very nice. He's not the little ugly, the little fuzzy little character we saw at Disney.
No, not at all.
So that's the thing that this gets. That I was looking at, like, oh wow, I can change this character to that, because actually. And this is where John Ennifield for Not So Fair Tales showed how much he trusted me, because when I sent him some scripts for Jacko, for the Takeout Story, and the Iron John. Only the Iron John pretty much remained as I pitched him.
Yeah,
Jacko's story changed big time in the sense of. What I was thinking about was totally different, and that's the idea I told him. And then I said, "Look, I was talking to John Muller, and I have this other idea, and I like this one better. What do you think?" He was like, "Okay, what are you thinking about that?" So I gave him a proposal thesis about it, and he was like, "Okay, go with it." I said, "All right." But for the Takeout, which is the Big Bad Wolf. Nothing. That is a totally different story than when I pitched him originally. And that was where he really needed to trust me. I said, dude, trust me on this one. But what I sent you is not going to work. Let's go with this. And it was interesting. I still want to do it someday. But it wasn't, I didn't want to do it at this moment, which was basically, I had these two characters in a scene very similar to the Dark Knight, Batman and Joker moment scene. And I had that going, and I really liked it. And I had another artist involved. And once I switched, the thing is that John Muller was going to be doing that one. And then he was going to be doing that Wolf one. And then I had another artist doing Jacko, because it was supposed to be a comedy. And then when I changed the subjects, I moved teams around. Okay, John, we're going to work over here. And then the guy who was going to the other artist was going to do then he didn't want to move over. He thought, no, I don't want to do it now. He said, okay, so I went and got Matt Buttich.
Yeah.
I wanted somebody who could give me that Looney Tunes feel. Because as you saw the story, very whimsical, all that kind of idea. That was, so when I sent in the script to Matt to work off, I basically gave him all the pages of the page. I said, I'm going to take, this is what I want to see in the first few panels. This is what I want to see. But I didn't tell him a script. Because I told him, once we're done, I'm going to write it. And then when I saw it, is when I said, we're going to rhyme it. And we're going to rhyme it through. And Iron John actually has a cadence very similar. He will speak in rhymes at times, too, to give him a distinction from the child. And so there is a lot of work. In that one, originally, I had spoken to John that I wanted to do it in black and white. I didn't want color. I wanted to maybe, I said, I'll put color through the captions and the dialogue. And John was not really thrilled because you see the whole book is in color. Yeah. He was like, I think it'll be a shine, man. I think it's gonna make a break. And they're like, I know, man, but this story I think works in the dark. I'm like this. He goes, okay, whatever. So he kind of gave in. But then, closer to the end, he was like, you think you can put some color? Really, man? Dude, I saw what you did on Jocko. I saw what you got. Really, man. Look at what your daughter, really. Like, let me see. So I actually sent him that first page. It was that color scheme.
Yeah.
And I said, this is what I'm thinking. He was like, yeah, that's it. Go with that. That's perfect. Go with that. I said, really? Yep. Go with it. So that's what I'm telling you. That's when I really had he gave me a good boost, and I ended up coloring it, something I was not looking forward to, and but it works. It works, and like I said, when people have commented on it, it's really humbled me, because it's one of those stories that I was thinking, wow, if I could just get it out there right, maybe it'll have an impact on somebody, and apparently it has, so we'll see. I mean, that's the only one people haven't seen, so hopefully that'll be a nice surprise when people get the book, and it's one of those things that all I can say without going too much into the idea, but as a son of immigrants, and an Hispanic man, this rings a lot to me. Things I've lived through when I lived in the South, and stuff like that. So I think it works. And at one point I asked John, can I get 2 more pages? And he was like, why? I think I need 2 more pages. I really, no. That's when I went like, oh my God, I have to cut a scene now. I don't have enough space for it.
Yeah.
And I've always said, well, I'll do a key kid cut eventually. We'll do another cut eventually. But now that my wife has read it and other people have read it, I don't think it's necessary. Now, it's things that what I replaced it with works well enough that people are like, no, it's probably no longer necessary. Yeah. So those are the little happy accidents, hopefully. So we'll see, man. But hopefully, like I said, we'll watch this, and I'll be posting it again. I'm saying I'm not surprised. I'm really happy that we're at where we are, at 60% plus. And I think it's, like I said, it is a tribute to the quality that people are seeing already.
Yeah.
And wait till you sit down and read those stories that came out in the preview.
Yeah, I have the preview set saved right here.
I'll tell you, man, when you read that one from the werewolves, you're gonna be like, what the?
that was gorgeous stuff. So I'm excited to.
And I saw that werewolf in black and white, just to pure inks, and I was like, dude, that's just like. Before they added color, I was like blown away. I was like, my God, that is fantastic. Yeah. And I had not known about the Brand Fowler one until I saw it in that preview. I was like, oh my God. It's like a Studio Gilby movie. My God.
Yeah. This is gorgeous. I'm looking at it right now.
And I mean, it is well written. Now, Brand actually has a lot of Kickstarters running. He's got the Last Embers universe that he does. So he has a lot of experience producing quality work. So he actually has, I think it's still up there Kickstarter, or is it just
what's it called up on Kickstarter right now?
The Last Embers. I think if you look at his bio, it probably has it in there where the title of the book. Okay. But
and let me go down here. I'm just gonna look real quick because I'm interested. Will, Andrew, Philip, Matt, Mike, Joe. Oh, Brant. The Last Ember. Yeah. That's what I was going to type in.
Those are really quality. It is quality work. And let me see. Ryan right now, I don't think if it's Brant as well on that one. No, there's another one of a steampunk the husband and wife detectives also that's on Kickstarter. Ryan is doing the cover for that. And I don't remember is it Brant as well? I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there. The people in this group here are just.
Yeah, I tend to surf things like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, even Patreon to find people that I'm really into their work, and that's who I try to look on to bring on to the show. Whether I can donate or not, that's if I can, I totally do it. But
I usually go with, like, if I can't go, because in my case it's like I'm not reading much of anything, but I can't keep putting so many books in the house, so I just go with the digital.
I do that. I tend to do that a lot too.
And even if I'll just leave it in there and I'll read it when I can and I'll do it, but because I used to get all these books coming in, and every once in a while I'll like, for example, the Brian Polito ones, because he produces so much and you get so much from it. But the only real reason I buy his, and it's not even for the books, it's for the black and white version that he sends in, because I use that because those only pencils. I just blow them up and use them as samples of my work. So I use so I can actually put sequentials, and I actually presented them to Brian at the 2019 New York Comic Con, and I showed it to him. He looks at it and we're like, all right, come back to me when you've done 100 pages. And you're like, okay, what you mean by that? He says, it looks good, but you're not ready for me. But I'm thinking that once you've done 100 pages, you will be. So go at it. And I'm thinking 100 pages is only 5 issues. So I'm like, hey, I can do that. So we're working towards it. So actually, let me, this is one of my, I'm working this one for a buddy of mine, James Avila. So this is coming, this is one of my latest.
Let me give you the screen here.
My latest things here.
Nice.
This is Fathom. I'm going to probably do some digital work on it to give the water some nice effects. So
yeah.
James and I have done a few things already together. Like, and he's got that his own book. Oh my God, what's his name? It's about I Dream, something like that. I can't remember right now the title. And he's finally concluding the first chapter of the whole book of it, like 5 issues now. And I'm dying to give a shot. I told him, dude, let me write in that universe of yours. I'm still writing in it. I know. Give me a chance. and there are some other people that I'm trying to get involved in their universes little by little. And so there might be some more plans down the line. So right now I'm busy all the way through the end of the year. I pretty much have I'm really blessed to have a volume of work that I'm getting done that now I'm looking to start what I'm going to be doing in 2022, and probably going to be a lot of my stuff, hopefully.
That's great.
So we'll see. I mean, it's right. And like, returning to the question, do I need to do shows? The reality is I'm probably going to be doing less shows, but the ones I do will be hopefully the bigger ones. Like, they'll become 3-day shows or the 4-day shows. Like this year, like PowCon, nothing against them and stuff, is that it was really too close to this one I'm doing this weekend, which is 3-day. I didn't want to go like, wow, that weekend. And last week, years ago, I was like, I don't mind. We'll keep going. But now I'm like, my God, because I know that this weekend I needed to be pounding the internet to make sure the book's coming out. And I wanted to be doing that. So right now, when I look at my convention schedule, level. Apparently we doesn't want to come up now. But anyway, the problem, like right now, I have my next schedule. I got Garden State now. Then I'm off for about a month and a half. Then I go to Gem City in Dayton, Ohio. That's a 2-day event that I'm a guest at. And then the very next week, I'm doing a 3-day, which is Terrificon. And then I got Baltimore coming up. I'm going to be 2 days in Akron. I got a 3-day event in Cincinnati. I'm doing the whole state of Ohio, basically.
Yeah, that's good.
So here we are. All right. Why are you giving me so much trouble? For some reason, it's like giving me trouble to pull this up right now. I don't know. It's probably it's one of those weird things going on right now. Oh, wait a minute. You're over here, aren't you?
I don't know. Am I?
No, I'm looking at probably at someone this on the other page. There it is.
Oh, because of other monitors. Yeah, I have that same issue.
3 monitors going on right now, so it's
I'm the same way.
So so I got Awesome Con was I was going to do, but now I'm not going to do it. Keith told me he's going to do MegaCon, but I can't do MegaCon because I'm actually on vacation that very same week. Yeah. Then I'm hoping to do Florida SuperCon in September. But if not, I'm in Cincinnati for September 17, 19, and 20. And then I would love to do New York, but if not, I'll be doing Baltimore. And then in December, I'm doing Akron, and maybe I get called in for Anime New York City. In December, I would love to do C2E2 if I get in there. So those are the ones. Now I've been trying. I'm going to see if I can get into the C4, which is the Cherry Capital Comic Con, which is way up there in Michigan. I'm waiting for answers from them. I'm waiting also for the Hampton Comic Con. So that's it. I'm not going to be doing them much more. And then next year I'll probably keep it around the same thing. I was going to be at Heroes, which is a 3-day event, but obviously it got postponed. I was going to do Plastic City up in Massachusetts. It postponed, so and I also have like wish lists like Comic-Con Brussels, the Athens Comic-Con in Greece, It was funny because 2 years ago, I was actually at the table with Keith at his table, and the promoter of Athens came to his table and saying that, hey, maybe we can bring you over. And I'm like, sure, I'll go. No, I was talking to him. No, but I'm in some ballet. You got to take me. I carry his bags. So, but no, I'm actually at there. It was funny because he was hanging around with this artist, and I don't want to mistake his name because it's Greek. All right, so let's see if I can get it up here because we've been talking a lot lately. Let me just make sure I don't make a mistake of his name. Babisu Curtis. He actually is the illustrator for Robin Hood for Xenoscope. Okay. And he's got a project coming up called Primitive War, which is they're adapting comic book wise, graphic wise, a novel. And he'll be on my show actually in a few months down the line. He'll be like in September, which is funny because he's in Greece and I'm over here. So we're coordinating like it's almost like Back to the Future. You'll be next day when I'm calling you from over here. So it's like the future. But he was actually, I met him there because he was actually walking around with the guy in charge of the Athens one. And I remember how humble he was. Oh, this is a guy. Can you guys check out my stuff? I'm like, let Keith look at it, And I was looking at it. This is awesome stuff. Oh yeah. And it was like, and then he says, I know you. You're a Keith. I'm like, what? I mean, funny story, real quick. At that same show, I was at the. Keith says, "Hey man, I gotta go. So, all right. So, can you watch the store?" I said, "Sure, I'll stay here." And so I sat down at his table. All of a sudden, this guy comes up and he starts saying, "Man, I love your work. You're freaking awesome, man. You're so awesome." And I'm like, "Time out. I'm not Keith Williams." And he laughs and goes like stuff, and I said, "Oh, here's Keith. There he is." And Keith says, "Oh, how you doing?" And the guy leaves. A week later, I'm at another show, and the guy is an artist, and he's sitting well, I remember you. Yeah, I went to say how much I like you personally because I've seen you on Instagram. You're so freaking awesome. But you thought I was talking about Keith, so I just left. That was actually Mauro Zapata. So it was funny when he told me that. I always say like, and I always tell Keith, you see, they didn't come to see you, man. They were actually there to see me. I was at your table, but they came to see me. So get over it, bro. So no, it was fun. I always love that. It's like that it was actually somebody coming to see me, and every once in a while I'll get that. I'll be standing at a table with somebody who's talking, and they go like, "Oh, I know you." you did the link, didn't you? You did this character. I've seen that. And I go, okay. So those are the moments I go like, whoa, I'm actually being seen by people and stuff. So, because every once in a while, I kind of, sometimes these shows I go there and like, not much happening, They go look at my stuff, they go, yeah. So it gets kind of disappointing, like, why not? But it's just part of the way it is, There'll be times that my table will be packed and other people's are not, and I'll be like, what's happening? And it just depends on the crowd. It depends that day, that one person, that two persons wanted to be there. I've been to shows that some other well-established artists will tell me, man, that show was not good for me. And I'll go like, oh, I don't understand. I'll be like, oh, I don't know. And I won't tell them, oh, yeah, it was bad. Yeah, it was bad. But it was not. Sometimes you need to do your own work in that.
Yeah.
Some people believe that, well, it's the promoters, the convention's job to promote. Well, if you live on that planet, I'm sorry, I'm going to kick your ass every time, because I will do it myself and I will promote it, because I want people that come to the show, because if I can get 10, 20, 30, 40 extra people to come in, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of those will drop by and buy, because I brought more people in through my promotions. And I can get, and every once in a while, I'll get people coming in and go like, which was the one, Garden State. I promoted the heck out of that print I was putting in the VIP, like I did for the card this year, the VIP, because that one, I said, you need to come to my table to be numbered in the order I see you.
Yeah.
All right. In the order you get here, that's the number 1, 2, whatever. And that's the same. And for this one, there's no number, just the bonus, the discount. But for the other prints, yeah. But anyway, I remember the show starts at 9. I think 9 or 9:30 they let the VIPs in. This little kid comes to the table, almost drunk, like, you okay? What number am I? Well, number what? He shows the print. What number am I? Oh, you're number 1. Yes. He goes like, okay. He goes like, Dad, we're number 1. It's like, so he was number 1 and his dad was number 2, and I gave him an extra put a little remark on it, and he was like over the moon. And I found it funny, like, really. It's like, those are the little moments you come up and you're like, okay. Another moment I remember that when I just started, I did it was Free Comic Book Day. And I remember the very first time I did it, I had nothing to sell, nothing to show. I was just doing a little doodles and stuff, but I could write. So I made these cards up, and then I would tell people, give me 5 minutes and I'll write your story. And I would just ask them questions, like, give me answers to these questions, and then I'll write you something based on that. And like for one guy, I told him, who's the person you most care about? My wife. I said, smart man. She's right next to you. What are you afraid of? Bees and stuff like that. What do you do? I'm a cook. Oh, really? What do you do? For these old retired people over here. Okay, so I wrote him a story about this evil bee that was trying to kill him and stuff, and like in a little card in 5 minutes. He loved it. He invited me over to their barbecue and stuff at their place later. But the cool one was a kid, and I was saying, what's your name? Maximilian. Oh my God, that's a damn good name. And what do you like to do? Video games. Ooh. What else do you like to do? Watch wrestling. Who's your favorite wrestler? Gave me a name of a female. I go, okay, fine. So I wrote him a story about him playing a Spider-Man video game, and all of a sudden there's a ruckus going on outside, and this famous wrestler asked him to join her and fighting the evil stuff using his name. So I wrote it down, and his parents were there, and the kid was like, and I'm reading it to the kid, and he's like, his eyes are getting bigger and getting bigger, getting bigger. And at the end, he looks at his mom and he says, Mom, I'm in a story. It's like, You can't. It doesn't get any better, man. It's just that moment. You go like, yeah, that's why we do this for. Every once in a while we get that nice moment, and it's just great. Just those are great moments. So hopefully, when people read this book in Not So Fair Tales, they'll have those moments. They'll have those moments multiple times, and another thing that you don't know that doesn't show up in any of the Kickstarter information, oddly enough, because we didn't want to make too much of a deal of it because there's not really much to do about it. Yeah. There is a section for signatures, and that each of us have our names. So if you ever go around with it to conventions, especially most of us are on the East Coast, you'll be able to sign them. At one time, we were actually thinking about, I don't know who else's idea it was, to create some stickers and then have everybody send the stickers and we sign them and send them in. I'm like, dude, who's going to put the stickers down? Who's going to be pulling these things and I'm not doing it. It's like, that is too much work. I told John, look, I live about 2 hours from you guys. We'll just meet up halfway and we'll sign $100. What the heck? No, we're not doing stickers. No. So, I mean, like, we're just trying to find a way because some of us are not nearby. Like I said, there's some Canadians in here, some people from though most of us are in the East Coast. So imagine eventually, you will bump into us if we're on this here. Or we go, like I said, I'll be hitting the Midwest soon. But the book won't be ready. I might have copies of the book when I go to Akron in November. It's at the beginning of November, so it'll be really tight. It'll be right around the edge when the book should be out. But if not, 2022, I'll have them out there with me.
That's great.
So we'll see. All right, man. I think it's about. We've been at this.
We're doing almost 3 minutes away from 2.5 hours.
It's still not even close to my record, which Phil. I did a 4-hour show with Phil.
Yeah, Phil. I think I did maybe 2 hours with him. Yep. Phil's great. When I start getting ready for my Dax Photon webcomic to come out, because I'm going to do it as a webcomic first, I'm going to reach out to him to go on his show.
Yeah, he'll accommodate you and stuff.
Yeah, he's a good guy, a very good guy.
For me, man, it's like I'm like, this is insane when I look at this. My schedule for the Inking with Kike. Oh, I forgot I'm doing it. Yeah, it's filled all the way through September.
Yeah, I'm for this show. I will say I'm booked almost into August right now, like mid-August. I'm booked up till.
Yeah, I got September. I got one in September open because if Cincinnati goes and if it looks like it will, I'll be traveling probably because that's almost a 4-day, and I might be traveling on Wednesday. Yeah. And if not, I might be traveling really early on Thursday, so I don't think I'm going to be doing a show on Wednesday. So that one there might not have a show there. But then everything else for now. Right now, this next few weeks, I got John Enfield. So those who didn't see the show here or wants to know again what it's like it's going to be John is going to be on my show tomorrow. I got Jay Moore's on, and then after that, I got my first anniversary show. I cannot believe I've been doing this for a year.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a small group of friends there. They're gonna be Tom Travers, who was my first guest. Keith Williams is gonna be on there. John Ottinger is gonna be doing it. Sean MacArthur and Becky Fuller is gonna be on. And I tell Becky, you're on because your show went. I don't know what it was, and I think it's because first of all, she's great.
Yeah.
But her show is my highest viewed show, over 1,100 views.
Wow.
On my Facebook. I don't know how. And it's just
I'm gonna have to look for that.
And it's like her show is like, well, we were doing the Dweors and we were inking and she was coloring over it. So it was a very popular show. But it was one of those things that she is the representative and also girlfriend for Shannon Mayer, who's a super artist.
Yeah.
So I know he was pushing it when he was like, I hear you talking. Where's the show? I can't see it. She was like, We're not on yet. We're in the backstage. We're discussing stuff. Don't relax. We're not getting up. When I'm on, I'll let you know. So I know he shared it. So that probably is why it became such a popular show. And John Oninger was absolutely another great show that we had so much fun on it. And I'm really looking forward to future endeavors with John.
That's
awesome. John is a brilliant individual. He is an inventor for all intents and purposes. He did designs for Mattel toys for the longest time. But what I found fascinating is that he used to design the motion maquettes that were at the Universal stores. Like when Jurassic Park came out,
really?
you saw the dinosaurs moving and the cars. That was all him and his dad designing those things to move and stuff. So he's got that big background. And his buddy Edgar Paston, who is the creator of American Kaiju, he also worked in Mattel, and actually they both worked in cubicles next to each other. But he went on to work for the Power Rangers company, creating toys for them.
Wow.
So he knows everybody of that group. He knows all the stuff there. So and it's fascinating when I interview these people on my show, and I'm thinking, oh, you're just artists, and all of a sudden they come up with all these backgrounds, and we're like,
yeah.
Who are you people?
Yeah, I know. I've bumped into that myself. I think it's fascinating, all the stuff you get to learn, what they're doing, what they did. But I want to say something. When you mentioned your anniversary show, I had to look up when my anniversary show for this was, and the very first official episode of Get in Tune streamed on June 2nd of 2020. So technically, today is my anniversary show.
Holy crap!
So
how about that, man?
Thank you for being on my anniversary show, man.
There you go.
I had to go look that up. I went onto my YouTube on my phone. I'm like,
and I mean, for mine, I had no idea, and it's actually, I think, about a day or two on or off. And I'm like, for Tom's shows, I'm really sad about, because learning experience. When we finished doing that, was when I was doing it only on Instagram. And when I finished the show, he texts me saying, "Oh man, it was a great show." So I go and answer the text, and I didn't save the video. Gone. Oh. It was gone. So it's not like when I do it on Facebook that it stays there in StreamYard. So that's why I moved over to StreamYard, so I can have more time and not be held to that 60-minute.
Yeah.
So I told him, "You're coming back on, man." I gotta, because that show was lost. And then Keith is because, well, it's Keith.
Yeah.
And then Sean has been a good friend of mine for a long time, from DistrictCon. And then the other two are just good friends. And then I wanted to bring them on to have fun. I really wanted to bring in more people, but I used the cheapo version that can only have it like 5 or 6 of us on that. But if I bought the version, I think we could bring in 20. But even then, can you imagine? I'm going to be that many people on the screen. I can't handle that. I mean, I remember that when I have 5, I got to remember that when I use this over here, I don't see half the people when they're down here on the bottom. So I have to make sure, wait, are they here or they're not here? So, so it'll be interesting, that one in a few weeks. And who I got later after that, then I bring in Shane Miles, who is an illustrator. He's got a Kickstarter starting in June. Michael Gerlich, Len Danovich, Joe Ryan will be on the show. Rusty Gilligan will be on.
And he just said, "I'm looking forward to being on the show." You know what? I have to reach out to Rusty. Probably, I haven't had him on here yet. I've known him for years.
I'm telling you, for me to get him on was not easy either, because he's not one of those. He's not like, for example, John Muller, who was on the show with me twice.
Yeah.
Never on camera. You will see hands. You'll see hands, but no, he won't do it. And I know a lot of artists that way. I've seen him on other shows that you only see the little icon, and you hear him, but you won't see him. Yeah, and that's fine. Some people just don't like it.
I know.
I think Rusty is one of those guys that he's like concerned a bit. I go, "No, man, it'll be fine. I've shown him the video. It's gonna be good. Don't worry about it." James Avila. Then I got my vacation show. I'm not doing it. I got bringing in Greg Moquin from Sierra Nova. I'm gonna bring my good friend James Rodriguez.
James, awesome dude.
You met him this weekend. I mean, you saw him.
Oh, I've seen. Yeah, I've known James for years, but yeah, I saw him.
Then I got Fabrice. I got Fabrice Spavosky, writer artist, and then I got Babisu. Yeah, but that was going to be on a special day. We're doing that on a Friday at 1 in the afternoon, so it'll be 8 o'clock his time. Okay. So it'll be like, otherwise it'll be too late. It's on a Friday. He says perfect. Then I got Matt Parton on, then Jay Lipson, and then I got William Blankenship, another guy I've just met, and he'll be probably showing me on September. So that's all the way through September. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Fun. A lot of fun, and like I said, there'll be a few shows sprinkled in there. So
yeah.
But we'll see, man. That's also, like I said, thank you for having me on here, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. I had a lot of fun chatting with you. I know we've spoken here and there sporadically throughout, our time, with like Nerds of the Round being on their little thing. We've chatted, and I've been on your show, which hopefully I can come back on when my webcomic's coming out. I'd love to talk about that. But yeah, no, getting to know, I never really got to know you until tonight and learn a lot about you and your background, your past and stuff. I think it was fantastic. I love what you're doing.
Like I'm one of those, like one of the most interesting men in the world. Yeah. No, and the funny thing is, it's like I'm looking at this tonight. I say, I hope I don't go on too long yet. We're here for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I got my show. And then right after my show, I've got to get ready because at 11:30 I'm doing the Written Grit at night with Raphael, Phil, Robert Powers, and John Oniger and I, because he wanted to invite four writers to the show to talk about writing. And I'm like, at 11:30, oh my God. Yeah. And then the next day I got to get up for the gym. I'm like, oh my God. And then I got shows up there. And when am I doing Sebastian's show? I'm doing Sebastian's show on, when is it? Yeah, on June the 8th. June 8th, I'm on that one. I'll be doing that one.
So that's next Tuesday.
I'm doing so many shows. Like my hope is that we're already funded by the time I go on Sebastian's Nerds.
Well, if you're going by the rate you're going now, definitely.
And because I got so many shows, I mean, I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more shows.
Wow.
Just to promote this, and I'm like, okay. And I got one I'm doing on the Bitten Apple. Because it's the day before Father's Day, and the condition that Ralph made me agree to, and I told him it was not a problem. He says, I have to be on with my daughter. He says, I wanted to make it a Father's Day thing, and I want you there with your daughter to promote the book. And I'm like, not a problem. She doesn't want to be on camera, though.
Yeah.
But she has to be on camera. I go, okay. And that's one of the things I needed to teach her. And now that we haven't been to shows in a while, I'm fear that she may have lost it, because when she started, people will come up to her, oh, I like your artwork. Can you talk about it? No, nothing. Nothing will come out. By the end, she was like, oh, yeah, I like to do this. And even dealing with weirdos. Because that's one of the things when I had Sammy Castillo on, we talked about the differences of how men are treated and women are treated at shows, and it's a big difference. I've been next to Sarah and to Sid and all these girls, and at times I go like, what the fuck's going on? Wait a minute. So and my daughter experienced that weirdness, and that some guy who we later saw at Garden State came up to her at a show, and I wasn't with her because that was that was her first time doing the show alone. But my wife went with her to, be with her. She's a minor.
Yeah.
And I was at another library show with Joe. Joe and I were at another library show that day, and I was with Joe, Matt Parton, Matt Buttich, Christian. We're all at the same show. But anyway, she was at this other show, and this guy came up to her. Oh, you're so pretty. Can I take a picture? I want us to be friends. And my daughter didn't miss a beat. She was like, well, in reality, I don't like to do that. So if you like my art, you can feel free to look at it and stuff. You can follow me on Instagram, but no pictures, no nothing. my wife was like, "Oh, I'm so proud of her." Hey, I taught her that. Okay.
Yeah.
Now get right. And the thing is that, what's wrong with this guy? He goes, "This is a 15-year-old. He wanted to be friends, right?" My daughter's hearing me. She heard this. She was like eavesdrops and see what I'm talking.
Does she want to appear right now? And
what? What was that?
You didn't say we were like pretty or anything. You just wanted to be friends.
You hear that?
A little bit of it.
Yeah, she was saying not. It's just corrected. No, it's not that he was not saying that was pretty. He said, "I want to be your friend." You know, like he said, that's actually creepier.
Yeah.
So and the thing is, I'd seen this guy around. She described him. I'm like, that sounds familiar. And when we were at Garden State, she was there with me, and Keith was again next to me. And this guy comes by. He looks at her, looks at me, and goes like, he walks away like. My daughter goes like, "That's the creep." You're like, "What?" "That's the guy. I've seen this guy. I know this. I know who this guy is. He is a creep. He is a weirdo." And I'm not gonna say who it is, because as soon as I say what he wears and stuff, people are gonna go, "Wait a minute, I know that guy." So
I'm sure I do. I'm sure I know.
So it's like, yeah, and I've seen him in a lot of shows wearing the same stuff. So I'm like, okay. So, I mean, I was asked once, what's the weirdest thing I've ever been told at a show? And I go like, somebody else asked me, "Is cash the only option?" The credit cards are available. I go, "No, that's not what I'm asking." No, well, then definitely no, that's not an option. I'm like, really? You know, I can expect that if you're asking Keith, who has a reputation, like, or Larry. You know, me? Seriously? You know, you could choose something better. Trust me. There are much better around. And right now, I don't look too good because I gained 40 pounds over the COVID crap, and I'm dying to drop them off. I said, liposuction, my wife won't let me, so I got to do it the hard way. Not eat.
I know, that's the hard thing. I actually took myself off all processed food and processed carbs and all that to try to help. And I've cheated a little more than I should have.
Yeah, but that's what my trainer told me, you know, try to cut this down. So we're not eating out and trying to avoid those processed meats and stuff. And but I'm making my own salads and
that's what I do.
Meats right at home and everything. Like cooking it all here and low sodium stuff. And in the 3 weeks, I got 2 people who work with me, and one of the guys actually saw me. He only worked with me the first time. Then he saw me last week, and he was like, "Dude, and at least on the first day I saw you, you were big. No, not that big." Like, all right, okay, so I guess we're getting there. And and he kept telling me, don't focus on the weight. Focus on how things fit and stuff, because sometimes the weight is not only the indicator. You know, things are. And I'm telling you, no, the weight is the indicator right now. Still looking at it. But eventually, because when I look at pictures from 2019 when I was on the shows, man, I was like, I can understand why they asked me, "Is there another option to pay?" I can get it then. Now, no. And I'll be like, "Dude, let me do you a favor here. Go buy a Twinkie."
Yeah, no, it's funny. Someone at my day job came up to me recently and said, "Wow, you lost a lot of weight." I'm like, I don't think so. I dropped like only 3-4 pounds at that time. But I think what happened was, since I wasn't eating processed food, low salt, all that stuff, I just wasn't as bloated as I normally was. You know?
That's what I mean. It's like when people come to you and say, "Man, you look great." And I'm like, "Man, how bad did I look before?"
Yeah, that's what I said.
Really? Oh, wow, that's not good to know. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is that my daughter, she's really pushing me again, because when it's about, before I moved to New York, I was at 275 at one time.
Wow.
And my daughter came up to me bawling. I mean, totally bawling, crying. And I think this was like I've been here 8 years, 2012, 2013, something like that. 2014, and she came up to me saying, "Look, Dad, I just watched this program on Discovery Channel saying that fat people die young." And we're like, "Okay." and you're fat. I was like, okay, I guess we got to work with it. And she was, and then I really got into the gym, and I dropped to my college weight of 210 when I played sports. So I was like, all right. But then after that, I was able to keep it at 220, 225, because when one gets older, it's just the metabolism is not the same. I did that when I was like 45, 10 years ago. So I think that 40 or 40 something like when I did that. So now it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder. I mean, doesn't shed off as it used to. It takes a lot more work. So because it takes more work, I gotta now eat better, and that's where. Yeah. And I still, like today, I ate some hot dogs. And probably the worst thing to do, but they're low-fat hot dogs. So, but still, it's not the best thing.
No, I know.
But then my wife made some chili, and low fat, like 90%, 93% meat. So it's great. And then I'll have a salad, and I'll do some stir-fried carrots and stuff. I'm doing breakfasts. That's where it changed for me. I used to buy these like instant breakfasts. You just heat it up and go. But now I'm doing the eggs and doing the whole thing from scratch, and you feel the difference.
That's what I do.
All from scratch.
As much, but and I know we're going to end in a moment because you and I could sidetrack here and talk about this forever. But in high school and college, I worked for restaurants before I went full time in art. So I was a grill cook. I love to cook. I love to be in the kitchen. So for me, I prefer not to order out. I only order out if I'm tired and I don't want to cook, So other than that, I'm doing everything from scratch, So it's for me, it's fun, but it's also I know everything that's in my food now, So
I remember in college there was I had buddies who were working in the kitchens, and they would show me, come here. You know the meat we eat? Yeah. Look at this. Grade D, but edible. I'm like, what?
That's most fast food, just so you guys know. That's like, and I'm not going to say which restaurants, even if they may have some golden arches at times, which is a store I worked for. I don't know if it's changed since I was in high school, but yeah, we were eating grade D. It's grade D meat, maybe grade C. Who knows? I don't know, but it wasn't.
It wasn't.
It wasn't the best. So. But yeah, we're gonna wrap up now. So I wanna, number one, thank you for coming on. I really had a lot of fun chatting with you.
On the anniversary show.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for coming on my anniversary, which I didn't even know it was. I literally thought it was in 2 weeks. And so I was gonna plan something for them. But I'll do something.
You'll still do one anyway.
Maybe I'll come on tomorrow and have an official anniversary day. I don't know. But I wish you guys a lot of luck with the Kickstarter. It looks awesome. Like I said, I've already donated, so I want everybody out there in the audience to go. The links to his link tree is in the comments. The link to the Kickstarter is in the comments. Go check it out. Check out his work. Follow him. His Instagram's been scrolling across the bottom. He posts awesome stuff all the time. I love looking at what he's doing. So, again, thank you. Thank you for being a creator. Thank you for bringing stuff to life for people to enjoy and read,
Thank you, man. It really is not the same to do just writing for myself. So as long as I can get it out there and hopefully people are enjoying it and just getting the opportunities, man. So let's see. Maybe you and I will get something done eventually. You never know.
I would love to. I'd love to work with you on something. I might have some ideas we can talk about another day.
All right, man.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Don't pledge people. We're only 39% away. Come on. I want to get paid. Oh, no, that's not it.
That's not it. All right.
That's not it. I want to see the book out.
All right, man. I'm gonna drop you backstage. So thanks again.
Later.
All right. Bye. All right, guys. So that was a really fun show. Thanks for everyone who stayed from beginning to end. I really did have a great time talking. The Kickstarter Not So Fair Tales is amazing. The book looks great from the artwork I saw and showed. I donated while we were on the air, so hopefully everything goes through because I want my book now. I want to see all the work. And you guys, next week, well, I might come on tomorrow night, but look out if I do. I'll throw something up and let you guys know. But next week, I have a really great guest. I'm going to just make sure it's officially confirmed. But I think, somebody who's going to be really fun to talk with. And at the same time, we're going to be drawing live on air together. So that's going to be a really, really fun show. Anyway, you guys, don't forget the Kickstarter in the comments, the link tree in the comments. Go donate, and I will see you guys soon. All right. Bye, guys.